Hey, what it do?
Ahoy!
What's up? Good
Hi.
Friday. What are you doing?
It's sportsin'. Sportsin' so hard you don't even know.
What's occurring? Who's winning?
The combine.
Who's
the
winning
combine's
today?
occurring. The NCAA is quitting.
What?
Got all kinds of stuff
do you
going
mean?
down. The NCAA quit.
Good.
They gave up today.
Go away.
They raised the red flag, or I guess it's not
Good.
the red flag, the white flag. They surrendered.
We all hate them anyway.
Yeah, pretty much.
They're a stupid organization.
If you haven't seen it, you know, the NCAA said they were going to investigate Tennessee for clear NIL violations. And Tennessee wasn't even like trying to hide them. And so they said, hey, we're investigating you. And Tennessee went, no, you're not. And then NCAA said, yes, we are. And then Tennessee called the attorney general and the mayor and governor, and we're like, yeah, we would like to sue the NCAA. And the entire state of Tennessee was like, we're with you. And then Virginia, the Virginia attorney general and the governor were like, we're with you too. And so that lawsuit is ongoing. And today the NCAA was like, yeah, we know we're going to lose the lawsuit. So effectively, as of right now, they are saying they are pausing all NIL investigations and will not start any further NIL investigations. So if you're a collective today, if you're a university, if you're involved in college athletics at all, the NCAA basically just said, there's nothing we can do. It's Thunderdome. Do whatever you want.
Well, we kind of already knew that, though, right?
Yeah, but at least there was like...
They can't. They have no teeth. They haven't had teeth since the USC thing.
No, but it's like right now.
But they feigned resistance.
Yes, it was like the idea. We all
Well,
know
they
you
kinda
can...
had to.
They lifeguarded. You know, they're like, don't run by the pool, kid keeps running. Don't run by the pool, kid keeps running.
Yeah, but they are the governing body of record.
Not anymore.
Not if people don't listen to them.
Well, they just said, they literally said themselves, we're out.
Like, who started this? Did Will Wade start this when they're like, you're suspended? And he's like, no, I'm not.
It's
or
possibly that Will Wade was the first. And then Jim Harbaugh in Michigan kind of did
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
But they said, we'll accept your punishment if you stop the investigation. They're like, fine. But Tennessee just was like,
some people are just thumbing their nose at it like, nuh-uh.
well,
It's a trend now.
Tennessee got the entire weight of the state. They got the highest ranking authority in the state, and then the highest ranking attorney in the state, and they're like, we'll just sue you to do whatever we want. And the NCAA folded like a pair of twos. It's kind of crazy. Like, somewhere USC has to just be like, are you effing kidding me right now?
Yeah, they were the last ones that got hit.
Yeah, like, you ended our dynasty.
Did anything ever happen to Miami?
Not really. They got slaps on the wrist over the Shapiro thing. They got dinged a little bit with some scholarships, but nothing like major. Florida State skated. North Carolina skated. Was it Minnesota that had a big athletic or an academic scandal where everyone was doing work for the athletes? Nothing ever happened there. Yeah, it was like USC was the last real one. And we've had, Arizona basketball supposedly was going to get in trouble.
And wasn't
Kansas.
the USC thing, it was like all spite, right? Wasn't it just like
Yeah, so the NCAA...
Lloyd Lake or whatever didn't cooperate? Or
Yeah, so USC knew, but Reggie Bush and his family and a couple others took some cash. I think Reggie Bush was like a couple $100,000 from an agent. And so the agent comes to Reggie and is like, hey, you got to sign with me. And Reggie Bush said, I'm not signing with you. And he said, okay, well, give me my money back. And Reggie Bush said no. And so the guy went to like people at USC and was like, dude, I want my money or I'm going to blow the whistle on this. And some dumbass, like no one affiliated with USC could cut that guy a check for a couple hundred G's to make that go away. And then when the NCAA started investigating, USC didn't cooperate. And so the NCAA was like, all right, well, watch this. And they drilled them.
that hurt them.
They tried with Penn State. Remember they and then Penn
That's
State,
right.
they had to walk them back a year or two later.
Because didn't that hit the courts?
Penn State was like, we'll sue. And so the NCAA kind of started backtracking.
Man, the NCAA, rest in peace.
I mean, pretty much.
We hardly knew ye.
Yeah. This was from the board of director. In response to this latest order, this was when there was an injunction by the courts while it worked its way through. He said the NCAA enforcement staff is to pause any current investigations and not begin any new investigations involving third-party participation in NIL-related activities. There will be no penalty conduct that occurs consistent with the injunction while the injunction is placed. He says that the circumstances are less than ideal. And he knows that that's going to cause some concern, but he basically said that there's nothing they can do. And he said this is why the NCAA needs to come up with rules in a meeting room, not a courtroom. And he said that in his own words, saying that they can't win in court. Like none of this stuff holds up to antitrust laws.
Well, we knew that though. Like
yeah, but it's finally someone
they just held on. They held on for as long as they could.
Yeah.
There's just this is all predictable.
Yeah.
So the question now, it's all kind of boring too. It's like, Jesus, just freaking, can we fast forward to the time when the NCAA is out of the picture and there's a new governing body and there are new cool rules and the postseason format is way better.
This is a big
college
step.
Football grows.
This is the first time in the history of the NCAA that they have said, we can do nothing, therefore we will. There's one thing to say that you can't do anything, but it's another thing to admit it and then lay down. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I mean, I just like when I read through this, I realize pausing NIL-related enforcement with these other bylaws are going to cause significant questions on campus. But this is the only practical response to the injunction at this time. We hope that attorneys will work with us to clarify the next steps. Like you're saying, please, someone help us because we can do nothing.
Exactly.
You're like a frightened turtle.
The other thing that's great about, what do you want them to do? I mean, they can't do anything. Here's the thing that's great about this. The faster this happens, the faster we get more cool new rules in place and we can move on.
Yeah.
And stop.
Yeah. Pretending.
Well, just talking about it. It's so, it gives me tired head talking about all the as slow as they move in college sports. It's just like, dude, figure it out. Yeah. Somebody take the reins and go, here's a great idea. Let's all do this. And, and then just get over all this crap.
But isn't it crazy that you can now think how far we've come in the last 3 years? If you are a collective now, you can just call the school and be like, hey, Dan Lanning, what do you need? And who do you need it for? Cool. And then you can go to that kid that the school tells you and how much that kid needs. You can go to that kid and be like, hey, this is how much we'll give you for coming to campus. By the way, we can put incentive clauses in it. We can make it a yearly contract. We can give you these guarantees. You can have performance, like all of these things. You can sign whatever you want. And like no one can do anything. It's kind of crazy. Like think about where we were a couple years ago, even with the Jim Harbaugh stuff, right? Because Harbaugh was claiming it was about hamburgers and like a free hotel room, which we know it was more than that. But it wasn't that long ago that buying a kid a meal or giving him some a few walking around bucks or paying for his parents to fly to a game was like the end all, the be all. And now we're like, you can do whatever you want, and not just the school, but all the third parties too.
Look, I say it's about time. Kids deserve whatever they can get. That's the way it should have been all along. Amateurism is stupid. It's finally crumbling. It took way too long. Just give me some dope football.
I think we're going to get it.
I just want to watch cool football games with Hail Marys and awesome fourth down decisions and like controversy. The only thing that's saving me right now, well, two things. There are two things that are saving me as a college football fan. One is that Oregon and Washington made it to the Big Ten, and I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. It's going to be great watching them play a Big Ten schedule. I'm very intrigued by that. Where the program is at Oregon is great, and so that right there, saving grace. Because if I'm an Oregon State fan, I'm just demoralized.
Yeah.
Or a Kook fan. And the other thing saving me is that Kansas is actually pretty good, and we're in kind of a conference. So that, other than that, I'd be out on college football. This is annoying.
It's certainly
it's annoying. Figure it out, because you're obviously the sport is disrupted and it's different and it's never going to be the same. I get that. I'm actually not opposed to the change. Like I said, it should have been 15, 25, 30, 45 years ago.
You just want the change to happen.
Just get to the end game.
The weird thing is until you break away and you get all these parties to come to the table, you can't have any of that, because that's what the NCAA just said in that statement from the board of directors, saying we need attorneys to help us in meeting rooms, because any meaningful guidelines or rules that you try to put on anyone, you just get sued and you lose.
But what's happening? But see, the NCAA is out. Like, that guy is speaking from this place of, well, the NCAA needs to reform. They're out. Yeah. Anybody with a brain can see that. Yeah. The question is who takes over now?
I don't know.
Well, we've already seen who is taking over.
Well, the SEC and the Big Ten.
The SEC and the Big Ten are taking over. They're like, oh, okay, we'll put in some new rules.
Yeah, there's a void here, and we'll step up.
So now the next question is do they just that's just the new governing body? Is it the college football playoff,
Yeah.
board of directors or whomever that is? Or who is it? Because that's really the next question. It's not the NCAA.
I just wonder that unless this becomes a union and it's collectively bargained, I don't, unless you just give the players and the schools everything they want and you have the system where there is no rules and it truly is Thunderdome, which is kind of what we have now. I just don't know how you get everyone on the same page to stop suing. Like, because don't we all agree that there has to be some sort of structure, right, for the long-term benefit of it? But if you keep getting your ass kicked in court, like, there's really no, unless everyone gets together and says, we all agree to this, we're signing it, players alike, I don't know how this happens. I don't know how you get to that point without, like you said, it becoming a full-on, unionized, collectively bargained minor league NFL.
Well, if I know anything about the powers that be in college football, it will take them years and years.
Well, if it takes them years, then
years and years and years.
Buckle up, because you are gonna have.
It's Thunderdome.
Yeah, it's Thunderdome.
So, again, I'm just going to ignore how kids get on campus. I don't care. I'm happy that Oregon is good. They're the Big Ten, and I'm happy that Kansas is good. Other than that,
yeah,
I don't know. I don't have the answers, and I'm tired. I'm tired of all of it. It's nauseating.
Yeah, it's a
pitchers and catchers,
pitchers and catchers, and
in the
underwear,
NFL
and underwear Olympics. Guys running fast.
Yeah,
and Caleb Williams, and everyone hates Caleb Williams.
The combine does nothing for me, and I'm a huge NFL fan. Yeah. I can't watch this crap.
I'm exhausted at the Caleb Williams narrative. Like, people are.
What's the narrative now?
Well, they're now making him out
to
be.
Great.
They're making him out to be the villain.
He's the villain.
He's
now.
the villain.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
He is going to get raked over the coals.
Well,
he's supposed to be the first ever to refuse medical evaluation from some teams or something.
This is the headline. This is the part that's crap.
And I don't know, and maybe that's BS that they're even putting that out there.
Exactly. But. So there was like the reports that were coming out yesterday from real NFL reporters, and this is the part that's stupid. They were like, Caleb Williams becomes first ever to refuse medical from all 32 teams. That's the headline.
That's what I read.
That's the headline, right?
Yep.
And you just
I read that.
And everyone instantly, what a selfish son of a bitch. I want nothing to do. Who does this guy think he is? And if you read a little further down, Caleb Williams is just saying, I'm not going to subject myself to 32 medical examinations because 32 teams aren't going to draft me. He said anyone that is interested in drafting me, i.e. the first 3 to 4 teams, when they have me to their workouts, where I'll throw, where I'll run, all those things, they will have access to all my medical records and they can examine me.
Did all 32 teams want to do it? Or, I mean,
all teams
would somebody want
yes.
to trade up? And for that reason, should he have to?
When you go to the combine, all the teams, you go into medical rooms and there's 4 teams per room. Each one gets a limb and they yank on all your limbs and they look through everything.
All right.
And it's a very invasive and it's a tough process. And Caleb Williams is like, well, no. Why am I doing this for 32 teams? 32 teams won't draft me. They said, if you want to draft me, cool. Set up an individual one-on-one with me. You can have my medical records. And that's not that out of whack. But the story today, or the story yesterday, is that Caleb Williams is a spoiled brat. And I'm not a huge Caleb Williams guy. I'm not trying to sit here and defend him. But we're now creating a narrative where the guy, like, the first question at the combine today was, why are you afraid to compete? Like, get the F out of here. We're trying to make this, and now that it was leaked that he got $10 million in NIL money,
no.
We are going to paint this kid, the media will paint this young man as everything that is wrong with new college football, and he is going to get kicked in the junk throughout this whole process and picked apart. And I'm not saying that some of the criticism isn't warranted. This kid is not a villain, and they are going to make him out as such.
Well, at least the reporter got dragged for asking that. Everyone is crushing that person.
Can I just make a lay statement about the combine? It's kind of, it doesn't seem to be going in the direction of the elite guys don't really need it. And they're showing that. Like Marvin Harrison is just like, he's just not even playing in their reindeer games.
He didn't even interview. At least Caleb Williams is talking.
So if you are, I mean, I get why middle of the road guys or maybe some, lower round guys, higher round guys would, I mean, the combine is a very important thing.
Absolutely.
To evaluate players. But for the elite guys,
it's becoming less and less.
It's becoming less and less important, and they make way more and more out of it in the media. It's like, we shouldn't really, honestly, the only reason we're into this is because there's really nothing else going on
It
right
gives us
now.
NFL content.
Well, and because the NFL is
right.
massive. That's why. NFL
right.
is king, and they can put something on every calendar month for us to consume, and we
Right.
will talk about
But
it.
the point is that this is really not that, like, to your point about Caleb Williams, like, we make way too much of everything that is happening here.
Yes.
We probably shouldn't even dive in much to this. I get why we do, but we don't need to analyze the stupid underwear Olympics, and we
Agreed.
certainly don't need to televise every damn second of it. now, you guys got a lot of hot takes in the first segment right there.
Yes.
You're welcome. We're fired up.
Yeah,
today.
let's go.
I'm pissed off.
Friday. All right.
Some people saying way too much sports in that first.
Well, you know what?
Shut up.
Take this sports. Take this sports, and you just got
you
sports
shut it.
hard.
Shut up.
Shut up.
Would you guys shut up?
Shut up.
Time I say shut up now, I'm going
Hey,
shit.
will you shut
Hey,
up?
wait, shut up. Hey,
Shut up.
ah.
Hey, shut up.
Hey, will you shut up?
Shut up, Michigan.
Hey, shut up.
All right. Well, we're very high tea today. We'll get back with the poll question next on The Fan. So today, here's the poll question. Look, this is the time of year we're in on the sports calendar because I just this will maybe galvanize it for you, crystallize it, whatever word you want to use. But here are 2 poll questions that I considered today.
Okay.
These did not make the cut, but I considered putting up the poll question of, do you believe in pigeons? And do you recline your seat on an airplane?
Now, the pigeon one's pretty obvious. The reclining seat one, I could get into.
It's very controversial.
It is
Well, we will
controversial.
get into it.
Yeah,
but it didn't make the cut.
I feel
but
I feel strongly about that.
That's kind of where we're at in the sports calendar.
Yeah.
So here is what...
Which is why, by the way, the combine is a big deal.
Exactly. That's what I just said. Yeah. Like last segment.
Yeah.
So, okay. So the poll question does pertain to the stupid combine where guys run around in tights and
do whatever they do.
People comment on it. What was I telling you?
The poll question, it relates to running around and
Oh, yeah. It's
all
on the
that?
combine.
Yeah.
So I did a combine poll question today. It's brought to you by AAA Heating and Cooling, family business, helping families for over 60 years. AAAIAQ.com. It's on X at 1080 The Fan. Yesterday, which legendary Northwest coach would look the strangest coaching his rival? Mike Riley did win that.
Yeah.
Mike Riley at Oregon got 55% of the vote.
I just can't see that.
I think we're playing the varsity.
It just would be beyond strange.
Now, Don James at Oregon got 22%.
Yeah, it's a pretty good one. Except a lot of the younger people are like, who the hell's Don? Who's Don James?
Well, read a book.
I know. Do you think anyone reads books anymore? Come on.
Jack Ramsey with the Sonics, 15%. And then Chip Kelly at UW, 8%. People
Really?
could see it. I think that's just because he bounced around. He's bounced around a lot.
Exactly.
you
Like
know,
I could
so
see
no
Chip
one-
anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll tell you what, though, offensive coordinator at Ohio State, I did not see.
Right?
That just,
Hey, I was talking to Bart too about that.
that's bizarre.
He said, great. Dude, that's a great move for Ohio State.
Yeah. He just gets to, he doesn't have to deal with anything else.
Well, I just mean they just got a really good offensive coordinator.
Exactly. And like
That's all he cares about.
And they don't have to have Chip do anything other than just call plays. You think Chip's going to recruit? I don't think so. He's going to sit in his room and, just, again, dial up plays.
So the poll question is this today. It is pinned to the top of our profile there. So vote and vote hard. What is the biggest red flag from a potential first-round pick at the Combine? Conspiracy theorist, slower than expected 40, avoids the medical exam, or shuns it altogether. Vote.
The medical exams for me.
And vote hard.
I think that's the most.
But you were just making a whole thing of that's not that big of a deal.
Well, if you're not wanting to subject yourself to teams, I got to clarify. Not releasing medicals and saying that you're not interested in any team looking at you would be the biggest red flag. That's not what Caleb Williams is doing. If Caleb Williams was polling, or even if Marvin Harrison Jr., I don't care how good you are. If your response to me was, you will not get a look at my medicals and you will not examine me before the draft, I don't care how good you are, I would never draft you. If Wemby did that as the number 1 pick and said, you will not look at me, I'd be like, okay, well, then we're trading out of this. That to me is the number 1 thing that I would look at if I was evaluating a guy, is simply, can he withstand the punishment and the rigors of an NFL season? If you look at what derails talented players more than anything else, there's 2 things. One, it's just your attitude, right? If you're an idiot and you don't put any effort in. And the other one is medical. Like, we can sit there and look at Ryan Leaf. Are we going to consider Leaf to maybe be the biggest bust in NFL history?
Whoa.
He's
up there.
He's up
for
there,
sure.
right? So Ryan Leaf will tell you that, one, he was a pill guy and he was a drunk. And then the other one was he got hurt. And, he ended up with a wrist that he couldn't throw the football. So if you have a body that isn't built to take the rigors, if you have, like with Michael Penix, the biggest thing for me with Michael Penix, everyone's going to talk about how he throws and, the film evaluation, whatever. I want to know if Michael Penix, who's had, I think, 3 or 4 season-ending injuries, do my doctors believe that he can hold up for more than 2 or 3 years? Because if I'm taking a guy number 1, or I'm taking a guy 13, hell, if I'm taking a guy within the first 3 rounds, and my medical team says, dude, he's not going to last 3 years, I don't want him. It's such a nasty physical game. So that's my biggest one, would be the medicals. If he doesn't want to submit to medical examinations, and I'm going to draft the guy. And the other one is, I just want to talk to him and I want to see where he's at.
Okay.
I want to see if he's an idiot.
So you think the Marvin Harrison Jr. thing is not a huge deal?
I don't love it.
Because if you don't know, he's not even there. He's not doing anything. He doesn't even have an agent. He's just like, you guys know me, and
wasn't he supposed to speak? Like he was scheduled to.
He was scheduled to, and he just said, no, I'm not doing anything.
It's one thing if you say I'm not going to go ahead of time, but if people think you're going to be there and then you're not, maybe a little different.
yeah. I mean, what do you think of that?
Again, I don't love it, but as long as he's by all accounts the number one receiver on the board, and outside of quarterbacks, the number one player, right? People say that he's this can't miss prospect. I don't really believe in can't miss prospects. Like, there's some really good receivers in this draft. Marvin Harrison is the best, but is he that much better than Malik Neighbors? Is he that much better than Rome Odunze? They're both really, really productive players. It's not like we've never seen a receiver like Marvin Harrison Jr. My God, Calvin Johnson might have been the best collegiate receiver I've ever seen. You realize that guy at 6'6", 240 whatever pounds ran 4.35? So let's not act like Marvin Harrison is the greatest receiver prospect anyone's ever seen. He's really good. So if he doesn't want to participate in the combine, that's fine. But if I'm drafting number 2 or number 3 or 5, wherever he's going to go, and he doesn't want to sit down and talk to me, he's not willing to talk to my coaches, he's not willing to sit down on a race board and go over concepts, then no, I don't want him. So I think it can be alarming, but I'm not, the combine itself is not the end all to be all. It's, are you willing to go through a evaluation process with individual teams? And if you're not, then I want nothing to do with you. Then you're not willing to compete. You're not willing for me to take a look at you. And why would I invest that much in you when I know there's other players that maybe you're better than you, maybe they're worse than you, but they're in the same category. And why would I blindly pick something if I'm buying a $500,000 car and the dealership tells me that I can't test drive it? I don't know, man.
Yeah, I hear you. Vote hard. It's on X at 1080 The Fan. We'll move on to a college football Friday grab bag. Now, this was originally slated to be a college football Thursday grab bag, but that's how wild it's been around here.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, during the club, we'll talk about reclining seats on an airplane. Yeah. Apparently, that has become quite the controversy.
It has.
And it didn't used to be. It used to be that's what everyone did. You recline your seat. It is not anymore.
No.
It's considered rude, and you shouldn't do it, according to some.
Some.
Not all.
No.
So that'll be later. We'll get to our college football Friday grab bag coming up next. Here's Buck.
on 1080 The Fan.
All right, down to the College Football Friday grab bag. A lot of things in the notes here, one of which, very simply, and on a positive note, did you see that the Ducks versus Them videos that the Oregon program put out last year?
Yeah.
You know, those are those game recap vids.
They did a really nice job with those.
They did a great job with them.
Yeah.
They went viral. That's the one where we learned of Lanning's. Well, that was the Colorado pregame.
Well, that's where we got the talk with your helmet, right?
And the clicks versus
They're fighting
wins.
for clicks, we're fighting for wins.
That's one of the great ones, by the way. Because no one plays for more clicks than Oregon.
I don't
But they
know if-
also play for wins.
I don't know if building out that video staff was Lanning's idea when he got here, but there was a noticeable difference from this season or most recent season to the previous, and it was impressive, I thought.
Those videos, and they did one after every game, they got 55 million views
Good Lord.
on internet.
Well, there's a reason why people do that stuff. I mean, Dion, when he got to Colorado, had his very own team that he brought with him, which is, it is interesting that they did the whole thing.
ran through that bull junk you wrote.
They did, Oregon and Lanning did that whole thing about how we're not doing anything for clicks and helmet and all that, and yet 55 million clicks tuned into those.
Yeah,
They did a really nice job with them.
That's the irony of it.
Yeah.
They just released an off-season workout one, which I'm sure is nothing like as good as the in-season ones, but
Yeah,
they keep grinding them.
Yeah, I saw that. They're running around in their sports bras and all that.
Wait, what?
Well, everyone now wears the heart rate monitors and like the GPS tractors, and they look like you're wearing.
Yeah,
sports
the
bras.
tracking devices, because they're measuring your chest inhalation and exhale and your pulse and your heart rate. It looks like a sports bra.
Well, if you've got 55 million views or whatever, I mean, that's significant dough advertising-wise.
Oh, absolutely.
If you can sell it.
I guarantee they do. I mean, why wouldn't you?
Well, exactly, but it's new,
Yeah.
so that's the first. They probably just went out. They put it out as promotional material at first, but now,
Sure.
coming into this year,
Yeah.
those things should be sponsored.
Oh, I can't imagine that they
Maybe
won't
DeBella. will
Oh,
jump
there you
on
go.
that.
DeBella's got a little free money now that the Timbers.
I think we always see the Nike logo on the front and back end of it,
Maybe
but not that
Nike's
counts as an advertisement for them, but they're getting their logo on it.
Yeah, something tells
Hey.
does Nike even have to pay to be on, or does Nike just tell Oregon to
We
shut
just
up
get to be on there.
and put the swoosh on there? Because what was like Washington, who's deal with Adidas, they said that they want to be the Oregon for Nike. That's Washington's goal
For Adidas.
for Adidas. I'm like,
That's kind of Kansas.
Well, Kansas certainly has that. Well,
I think we're the biggest Adidas school.
Oh, it's not even close. I mean, Adidas doesn't have many schools, and I've said this with UW, and I know UW fan always took it. Everyone in UW hates Nike because obviously Oregon, but
Oh, come on. They'd be a Nike school in a second.
it doesn't behoove Washington. Like, Adidas is not cool to kids. It's just not.
Yeah.
You talk to anyone on the recruiting trail, and it is a negative that Washington is an Adidas school.
Yeah, I think it's a negative that Kansas is too.
Yeah, it's
But
just
I will
it's not
say-
viewed as the cool thing that kids want to be a part of. I'm not saying it's the end all, the be all, but it does not help
No,
you.
no, but they're just.
There's just too much
it's
money,
big
and-
money deals.
Yeah,
It's just that I will say this at Adidas, and I hate that Kansas is not a Nike school because I'm a Nike guy.
they used to be.
But if I go shopping for new KU gear every couple of years, I'm like, it's all the Adidas crap, and I don't like that. But I will say with their jerseys and stuff, at least on the basketball side, well, no, football too.
It's getting better.
They've done a pretty good job with it.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff's pretty cool.
It's getting better. It's just that when you talk to 17 and 18-year-old kids, no one wants to wear Adidas stuff. It's not cool. But the unique branding that Nike has with Oregon, they'll never. I think it might have been Dusty and Danny that were talking about this, but what?
Danny and Dusty.
Danny and Dusty. Sorry, there'll never be another one because. Like you think about how unique it is. Like Kansas obviously is a big deal for Adidas, right? It's one of the best basketball programs ever, blue blood and they've got their hooks in. It's the crown jewel of it. In Washington, maybe they become the crown jewel of their football schools because there's not many. I think Wisconsin is another one. There's a couple, but I think there's like 10 or 12 total.
That KU Adidas deal is the largest apparel deal in college athletics.
Which is why they went with Adidas.
14 years, $200 million.
Yeah. I mean, they had to overpay to be on the to get Kansas out of Nike because they needed a marquee brand. And like I said, maybe they're trying to do that with Washington, but to say that you can be the Oregon, Nike was founded. I mean, like you think, my God, they were pouring molds for shoes at the campus at their track coach's house. Like there'll never be another school with an attachment to it like Nike. I mean, Under Armour had Maryland,
like Oregon,
or like Oregon, yeah, because like the Maryland guy that started Under Armour, he played football at Maryland, but it wasn't born and bred out of that university. There'll never be another school with a connection to a company quite like Nike in Oregon. It is unique, and you can try to duplicate it, and many schools have. And it's not like Nike isn't a big deal at Ohio State or Duke or any other places, but that you just can't recreate what Oregon has with Nike because of the roots and where it was founded.
Next up in the college football Friday grab bag, I got an update on Colorado. Let's check in on Dion.
Yeah.
What's up, boss? You believe that?
Oh, and by the way, speaking of corners, Nate Wiggins, the cornerback from Clemson, who may be the first or second corner off the board, he ran 4.28.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Is that fast?
Yeah.
Do you believe?
I do believe that 4.28 is indeed fast. I don't.
But
That's.
I don't know.
It's fast.
John Ross ran like a 2.5.
He is terrible.
And he sucked.
He's terrible.
So I don't know.
Wiggins supposed to be good.
So we'll check in on Dion and the 14-team playoff that appears to be coming to college football in 2026. Why is that not 16? And why is that not 32?
Just make
And why is that not 64?
112.
Are there 112 teams?
Yeah, isn't there like I think there's like 100 because we go through the rankings and I think it's like 112, 116, something like that play Division I football.
Wouldn't we want 124 though? At 62, oh no, we wouldn't.
What?
Damn it!
If there's not that many,
Wait, 60.
we can't have more teams.
I'm doing
than,
math.
than
There are
teams.
134 FBS schools.
Then we could do 64. 64 is 128.
Okay,
128.
So we'll leave out
6
only
teams
6.
get left out.
Yeah.
Don't be one of them.
and you get a playoffs. We'll just start the playoffs in week 1.
Exactly.
You lose, you're out.
That's the way it should be.
Only one team's left undefeated.
All right, that next on the Fan.
It's the Fan on Demand.
They're kind of fun to play
going to ask him if he believes in any conspiracy theories. Does he think birds are fake?
Do you believe in any conspiracy theories? Do you have one that you kind of hold on to? I mean,
You know, you would have to list them because surely there's something that my dumb brain believes in, but I off the top of my head, I can't think of anything.
I think that the most common sports one is the cold envelope for Ewing.
I
and the
could be
Knicks.
talked into that.
I believe in the JFK one.
What's the JFK one?
I think we killed him.
Oh.
The
Is that
royal
right?
we, the editorial we. I think the government killed him.
Oh.
Or at least knew about it and covered it up. I don't. At this point, I see like zero. I don't know how anyone can believe that went down the way they say it went down. The Warren Commission. I don't even think that's a conspiracy theory anymore. I think that's the vast majority of people.
The problem with the conspiracy theory thing is that I don't know enough about. Like I've watched the movie JFK.
I've seen it. Oliver Stone.
I've been to where he was shot.
Yeah.
I know who Jack Ruby is. But other than that, like I don't have a depth of knowledge on it.
See, and I can't.
And most people don't on
No,
conspiracy
they
theories,
don't.
right? Like they're just like, oh, the Earth's flat. That makes sense.
Yeah. I would say that's the only one that I can really think of that
Well, what other conspiracy theories are there?
well, there's a bunch. I would say
that are common.
the two most famous ones, well, actually there's three off the top of my head. One's JFK.
Mm-hmm.
The other one is the moon landing, that we didn't go to the moon.
And I definitely do not believe in that
which
one.
is just so ridiculous. That one's just beyond.
we weren't there.
I've got a list of the top 20.
And then 9/11 being an inside job.
Okay.
Yep.
Not true.
I would say that one was a real big one. I would say recently obviously the jab, the vaccine.
Oh, the jab.
yeah.
The vaccine is a huge one. I don't know if it's a huge one amongst mass people, but the whole child celebrity sex ring thing,
Like the pizza parlor thing?
the pizza parlor thing, Epstein Island,
What?
what would you say? Whatever the
See, now you're getting out there.
well, and then the other one is like what is the Bilderbergs or the Illuminati or whatever, the secret society that runs the world. Like that's
I could be talking into that.
a big one.
Yeah, have you heard that connected with the whole Denver airport that if you fly
Yeah.
over, you can see the vents from the people
Yeah.
living underneath
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
That's on this list.
So I would say just off, and again,
That's probably true.
just off the top of my head. Those are the ones that
What do you got on that list?
So, you guys mentioned a bunch of them. Moon landing, JFK, 9/11. This one here says Princess Di's murder. I don't...
Oh,
or Princess
yeah.
Di's death.
that it wasn't an
Yeah,
accident.
yeah.
Why are they?
I
saying
don't
they killed
actually
her?
know what's behind that conspiracy. It just says that that's one of them people
Yeah.
believe.
Yeah.
We have Paul McCartney's death.
Wait,
No,
wait.
I mean,
What?
with the whole Paul is dead
Paul
thing.
is dead.
I don't remember
You
that.
play the record backwards and
Oh.
Like predicting it or
Yeah.
that it was going to happen.
Yeah.
The Roswell crash and cover up.
Yeah. It would like the
Um,
Egyptians with the aliens and the pyramids. Would that be a conspiracy theory?
And like Stonehenge.
Yeah, that like aliens, like we didn't build the pyramids, that and like the aliens are like seeded us, and they the ones that that started. We're an alien colony, and they built the pyramids and all that crap.
Also lists Protocols of the Elders of Zion. Don't know that. The Satanic Panic. Chemtrails. Barack
Yeah,
Obama. Birtherism.
Yeah, the chemtrails one I know. That's like when the jets, the jets that leave the clouds behind them.
Yeah.
That's I don't know. That's mind control or killing us or something. I don't know.
COVID and 5G. Birds
Yeah.
aren't real. The Earth is flat. Reptilians run the U.S. government.
The dumbest,
Okay.
the dumbest one, honestly, dumber than the reptilian one is the flat Earth. That's the dumbest one.
Yeah,
'Cause-
because that's like proven,
Well, it's
man.
well, like because you would think that the reptilian, what is that series V, right? that was the whole. It was an '80s sci-fi miniseries called V, where the aliens were running us. So you would say that that's the dumbest one possible. But let me ask you, which one is more plausible or implausible? The idea that an extraterrestrial race came down and is impersonating us and is kind of controlling us, and that's so far out there, or the fact that every bit of science that we have, from satellite imagery to everything,
You're losing
the
me.
tides, everything,
You're losing me.
and that the Earth is somehow flat. I'm sorry, that one is more That is dumber than the idea that reptilian aliens are ruling the world. It really is. And yet people believe it. That's how stupid people are.
There's quite a few sports conspiracies on
Ooh.
here that I hadn't really considered.
Give me some of those.
Frozen envelope, right?
So frozen envelope was number 2 on here. The number 1 is, of course, that Michael Jordan going to play baseball was a gambling suspension from the NBA.
A lot of
and it
people,
was
a lot of
silent.
people believe that.
I don't. I could be talking to that one.
I could
Couldn't
too.
you?
Number 3 is that Cal Ripken Jr.'s streak was saved by an intentional power outage when Camden Yards had a power outage. A couple.
Schultze believes that.
It was. I don't know how far in advance it was from him breaking the streak. I think it was during that season though, and
Yeah.
he wasn't going to make it.
Yeah,
to the game in time.
Schultze believes in all of that was
So
like
they-
a constructed thing.
So wait, they shut the power off because he wasn't going to be at the game in time.
I think it was that the lights weren't working there or something, and so I mean, every now and then with the old stadium lights, you get those delays, and there's thoughts that they did it on purpose that night because Cal wasn't going to make it to the game in time and was going to have to be a scratch, snapping the streak.
That's not that far fetched.
No.
What else?
That NBA Game 6 of the 2002 Western Conference Finals
Kings
was
Lakers.
rigged. Kings Lakers.
Dude,
Yep.
that I remember that. That boy, I tell
Yeah.
you, there's a lot of evidence to back that
you
one.
can look into that one and be like, "Whoa!" But a lot, that's that's not an NBA thing. That's just a Tim Donaghy was on the take.
I don't know about this one. Souk Might, the 1995 New Zealand national rugby team, was poisoned prior to the World Cup.
Yeah, I've heard that one.
Probably happened.
The All Blacks. That's like the whole Michael Jordan flu thing. You know, they were given tainted food.
The flu game. He was.
Yeah.
He was.
He was poisoned by a pizza guy.
That the NFL destroyed Spygate evidence to hide what the Patriots were really doing. Hadn't
What were
heard
they
that one
really
before.
doing though?
Yeah,
They
There-
did
that there was
destroy-
that there was even more there than just like filming practices. Maybe
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Pete Rose had a secret agreement to be reinstated.
Wait,
to,
can I just say that it is weird that they destroyed the Spygate evidence?
yeah,
Yeah,
or
they did.
that it's like
No,
yeah.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Like, why did they do that?
this is why the conspiracy theory is out there. And they
But
said
why? I mean, like, why did they do that?
there's
You're
no
not supposed to do that.
There's no reason behind it other than
Aha.
it was burned.
Pete Rose, what?
Let's see. That Pete Rose had a secret agreement to be reinstated to baseball after a lifetime ban.
With who?
Well,
Bud
let's
Selig?
see.
Who cares?
Bart Giamatti. The commissioner who was commissioning then, he had like a backroom deal with him that like, hey, take this suspension now. I'll eventually lift it, but we have to do this to like save face.
Well, look.
And then the guy died. So the next commissioner's
Yeah.
like, no, you're suspended for life.
I think what we're learning here is that not all conspiracy theories are created equal. They are varying degrees of crazy. Some are more plausible than others. And so, do I believe in it? Yeah, I could be talked into a few of these, and then others are just bat F.
Souk, your thoughts on the Ali Liston punch, the phantom punch people thought was...
that's ridiculous. He caught him on the chin. I'll tell you
a lot of people, though, think that was...
that is you hear that all the time because Sonny Liston was a mob guy. He had mob ties.
I
and
didn't
so-
know that.
You didn't know that? Yeah, Sonny Liston used to be what was he, like an enforcer. He like broke thumbs for the mob. Sonny Liston was a bad dude. And so yeah, the idea is that it was on the take, but that's horse sneers. The rugby one is intriguing if you look into that because that was the movie Invictus. I know not a lot of people. I didn't want to go into it too much because rugby. People are like, eh.
But conspiracies, yeah.
I love rugby. I think it's great. So in '95, the movie Invictus with Morgan Freeman. He played Nelson Mandela. So that was obviously with the turmoil of apartheid and bringing South Africa together. Well, the Rugby World Cup was held in South Africa, hosted by South Africa. And the All Blacks and New Zealand team was the best rugby team in the world.
Favorite supposed to win it.
And in the finals, like 20-something All Black players all came down with something. I think it was Nelson Mandela's bodyguard that said that they were poisoned. And, it was this great story. And South Africa upsets and they bring the country together. And so that's one of those, like, if you read into that, like,
I could buy into
you
that.
you could
Well,
buy
why
it
is
because
that
that was a huge national moment for that country.
But is
Well,
that
we have
really,
the Jordan Pizza story here,
but
right?
wait a minute. Is that really a conspiracy theory?
Yeah, it's a conspiracy theory. Although a lot of
It's not really a conspiracy. Like, they got sick.
they got sick.
So the
The
conspiracy,
conspiracy
is
someone did it on purpose.
is how.
Yes. The New Zealand team was sick. How they got sick is the conspiracy theory.
The conspiracy is that it wasn't by chance.
Well, that's
Yes.
not a big leap, though.
No,
Like,
it's
like
not.
again, you're talking about these.
If you told me that you had an entire country that was
Yeah.
going through some of the worst racial turmoil we've seen in modern history, and you were hosting this giant event. It was like the second or third World Cup ever for rugby. It was the source of national pride, and this team was going to be the whites and blacks together. It was going to unite the country. Nelson Mandela's there. He's out of prison. He's the president. And you're telling me you're going to lose to New Zealand and like not on your home stadium in your home country? Nah, they
there you
poison
go.
those
There's
guys.
the one I believe in.
Yeah,
I believe in that.
They poison those
Man,
guys.
you talking like that makes me think that like in New Orleans, Atlanta, like let Steve Gleason through to go block that punt or something. You know,
Oh.
Katrina, like let's rally the city. We need this.
Well, it'd be like,
NFL script.
Imagine after 9/11, if we after 9/11,
Yankees
if
went to the World Series.
Yankees are in the World Series, but imagine they were playing the Iraqi national team. You think there's any way that that we wouldn't make sure that we won? And by the way, the game is being played in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, which way do you think the 3-2 pitch on the corner is going to get called?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And we're like, hey, you know what? If we got to poison some players and make sure some people got the trots while you're out there in your little rugby shorts, let's make it happen. And to this day, I hate South African rugby. And they won. They beat New Zealand again this year in the Rugby World Cup.
Probably poisoned them.
Probably poisoned them again by one freaking point.
All right, well,
Let me just say for the record, suck it, South Africa.
a little bit of a diversion there. But all that to tell you, Joey Harrington's coming up at 5:30.
I kind of enjoyed that.
That was fun.
Yeah, we made a hard left-hand turn.
All right, the College Football Friday grab bag continues next. We're going to check in on Dion at CU, Colorado. CU, Colorado.
Yeah.
3:59 on the Fan.
I read through that bull junkie wrote.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a Sports Center update on 1080 The Fan.
Hello?
Ryan Buckley with this Sports Center update. First on the Fan. On the hardwood tonight, the Blazers back in action trying to snap a 9-game skid. They start a 3-game road trip with back-to-back games in Memphis. DeAndre Ayton doubtful with the hand sprain. Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, Malcolm Brogdon all remain out. Tip-off tonight en route at 5 o'clock. The Grizzlies are 1-point favorites in college hoops. The Oregon men in a must-win situation down in the desert tomorrow. The Ducks need to beat number 6 Arizona in Tucson to have any shot at an NCAA tournament at-large bid. Meanwhile, in college football news, communication systems may be coming to helmets in the college game as soon as this upcoming season, if approved by the Rules Oversight Panel on April 18th. It would follow the NFL model of allowing one green dot player on each side of the ball. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Live, local, and free. No subscription required. Portland's sports leader is 1080 The Fan.
Back the Grizzlies at home. I'm Joe
On 1080 The Fan.
Well, you threw us off there, Buckley. I don't know why you did that. Maybe just to keep us on our toes.
I actually don't know why I did either. Full disclosure, I probably did it because I was getting cheeky playing a Deion Sanders drop.
I ran through that bull junkie road.
And then I hit the wrong button to start the break. So I started my update instead of starting the commercial, and so I just flip-flopped the order. I thought it would have sounded okay had you not brought it up, so thanks.
Yeah, I don't think it sounded okay.
Okay, well, that's fair.
Because we're conditioned.
That's true.
We're like trained monkeys.
Yeah.
And we did not get... Like,
But
something
you
was
already
off.
know how the sausage is made. Not everyone else does.
No, I know. But still, I guarantee you, I had to address it because there's people out there going, what the hell was that?
It worked.
Oh,
it would have
no,
worked.
no.
I don't think it did.
And
I
yet
think
you
it
let
would've.
people behind the curtain. You shouldn't
Yeah.
have said
well,
anything.
he did his update right after
know,
we
it was
broke, and then it was weird, and then you had the thing in the...
Yeah, it was a thing. In
I think you're making it weird.
Well, I think Buck's getting a little defensive.
Yeah, he is.
It's like when Joe Fisher got mad
I
at me for
admitted
asking
my
if he
own
went to
misstep.
Fall Out Boy. Like when someone gets a little bristly, you know that you hit a nerve.
Look, you effed it up.
Yeah. Look, you had
Well,
a pass ball, Buck. Shake
I
it off
raised
and
I
get back to
raised
the
my
next
hand and
batter.
said I effed it up, and then Isaac's like, "Yeah, you really did."
It was really bad. Maybe we'll revisit it in the club.
We'll see.
I ran through that bull junkie road.
It's one of my all-time favorites. That'll keep that around forever. That bull junk.
What was I going to do? Yeah, we're going to tell you about them. I was just... I don't know why, but I thought about him the other day, Coach Prime, you know?
Sure. I
I
stopped
thought-
watching that Amazon series. I got through about 3
Yeah,
episodes.
it's not
and I was
that.
like, eh.
It's all just
Yeah,
promotional
I was like, I'm fine.
bull junk.
I saw that bull junk you were putting out there.
So I think he's interesting.
Me too.
But, you know, with all the shine off of him and Colorado ended up sucking, like we kind of lost sight of what's going on in Colorado.
Yeah.
So I had to go back and look up. I'm like, well, what has he done? You know, like what? Are they just going to suck again? Like, what is going on at Colorado? So I just looked up just a quick check-in on Deion at CU. You know, he brought in 5 new offensive linemen.
Yeah, they completely revamped everything. I think
Actually, sick.
Oregon State got 1 or 2 of the old ones, which I don't know if that's a good thing, but
So he brought in, so their offensive line, their team sucked, but their offensive line was extraordinarily bad.
yes.
He brought 5 new offensive linemen in from the transfer portal. All 5 of them have starting experience. One of them was from Florida International. One is from UTEP. Another from Houston. And then the other 2 are from Indiana and UConn.
See, that doesn't mean that you can't have good players from there, but we got to stop with this idea that bringing in a player from another school automatically means he's going to be good.
Well, I don't think anybody's thinking that, but I think what I would think if I'm a Colorado fan is thank God it's not the same offensive line.
Yes.
It's like I'd rather roll the dice with these 5 bros. I have no idea if any of them are any good, but that is a major overhaul. Like it's the whole line is different.
Yes.
And then,
But it was a whole new line last year.
yeah,
I think there was maybe one guy that stuck around from Colorado, and that line was terrible.
and then he got a 5-star offensive lineman by the name of Jordan Seaton.
Yeah.
Who chose Colorado over Alabama and Oregon.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's got that guy.
he's a freshman, but again, freshman 5-star kids, I just
It'll take some time.
it'll take some time. Like there's this idea that in the transfer portal again that you can just go out and you can rebuild your offensive line, or you can it's harder to do than you think. Now, I'll look like Oregon secondary got rebuilt like that, I believe, because the kids they got are like NFL guys. Like they went out and got top prospects. So I do think you can do it. Like when USC went out and rebuilt their receiving corps, yeah, they went out and got big time receivers. But when you're just getting a smattering of guys around from lower level programs that you hope can gel together, just be careful with the transfer portal. And my other one that I love is like, well, he was from Georgia, so he has to be good. No, he doesn't. There's a reason why Georgia doesn't want that kid.
Wait, who's?
I'm
who?
just saying in general, like someone will be like, oh, he's a transfer from Georgia. And you're like, okay, did he play at Georgia? There was the receiver from Michigan, and he was a local kid. And I think in 2 years, he had like 1 catch at Michigan. And they're like, he went to Michigan. I'm like, yeah, and had 1 catch. Doesn't mean that he can't grow and develop into something, but my God, like because you go to Michigan doesn't mean that you can play football.
Well, and a lot of those guys are leaving because they can't get opportunities because they aren't good enough to get on the field.
That's all I'm saying with the transfer portal. We make way too much of the transfer portal, and we make way too much of where the kid came from.
I do think though fans assume when they hear a blue blood name like a Georgia, they think, well, he must have at least been a great recruit
Yeah,
out of high school.
exactly.
So
Yes.
therefore, there may be untapped potential
Yeah.
there.
So do you think it's better? Like, okay, let's say I get 5 new offensive linemen, and they're all from smaller schools like that. Like, what was that? What did I say? Houston,
UConn,
FIU,
yeah.
UConn,
Yeah.
whatever. Would you rather roll the dice with that, or would you rather roll the dice with 5 cast-offs from major programs?
I'd probably roll the dice with 5 casts off. I mean, just because you can certainly find like if you found the kid at FAU that was balling and he was a late bloomer. I mean, yeah, I mean it's such a hard question because just because you went to FAU doesn't mean that you can't be good. But if you're going raw measurables, yes, the kid that went to Georgia or Michigan probably has more physical talent than someone that ended up at FAU. But you are seeing more and more where those kids that used to stay irrelevant or just unnoticed at those smaller programs, they're not anymore. When you play there and you're good, you're gone.
You're going.
You're going.
Yeah.
So that
gives you hope that these guys.
So now I'm gonna flip flop on this and probably say, my first instinct was to say just give me the raw talent, give me the kid that coming out of high school that Georgia wanted. But in this context, I do think there's something to the maybe mining the kid that actually played, that actually was growing and developing and just was a late bloomer and doesn't want to be at FAU or UConn anymore, because those kids do exist. I mean, shoot, you're seeing the Alabamas of the world go through and I guess it's not at that same level, but I remember the one year Alabama took like Louisville's best player, Georgia Tech's best player, like South Carolina State. They went and like plucked like 5 kids from smaller schools and they got their best player and they're like, hey, come play at Alabama. So yeah,
it can work then.
Yeah, it can.
So Colorado.
It's just the idea of forming. I don't believe. I think O-line is a little different in that
because they have to gel.
I think you got to gel.
But they all have starting experience.
They all have starting experience. I just think that to me, if you're building a good program and you told me one position that I wouldn't want to lean heavily into the portal, it would be along the offensive line.
Yeah.
I think there's something to getting a good O-line coach, getting high school players that fit my system and letting those kids grow and develop. Like the best example of that was, I thought last year Oregon State's offensive line was one of the, well, it did. It was one of the best offensive lines in the country. I think Washington's won the Joe Moore Award, but Oregon State's offensive line was really, really good. And those weren't all, 5-star kids, but it was a collection of guys that grew and developed. And there's some NFL guys on there, including arguably the best right tackle in this draft. Like, I just think there's something to that. And when you look through the LSUs and the Bamas, they're always looking at transfer quarterbacks, receivers, but the O-line tends to be a little bit more of homegrown. And I don't love that Dion is going down this idea of every year I'll just bring in 5 new offensive linemen.
They kind of had to, though.
They kind of had to, but it's just not a recipe, I think, for long-term success. You've got to get the youngster, like this 5-star
they've
kid.
Got him.
Yes.
So that I would imagine that it's patchwork right now.
Yeah.
Because it was so bad. But you also have this Seton kid that you can build around.
Yeah.
And hopefully, bring in a couple of other young ones and get a couple of those transfers to pop, and all of a sudden, maybe towards the end of the season, you got a little something cooking.
Yeah.
Out there.
Yeah. And we'll see. I mean, I said they can get skilled position guys. I mean, the easiest thing in college football is to find skill guys. There's because you don't need the biggest guys. You can find, there's receivers and running backs, and you can find dual threat quarterbacks, but the difference between the SEC and the big uglies in the Big Ten is along the lines. I mean, when Oregon was rolling, and remember when Chip was getting beat up by LSU, that's what he said. He goes, dude, I'd love to find, because someone asked Chip, he's like, do you like the small fast guys? And he goes, no, I want to find the big fast guys, but they all go to LSU. I want those guys. And there's just not enough of those to go around. And even when like the Boise States of the world are good, or when you go play a good team that's a Mountain West team or whatever, usually the difference in those games isn't necessarily the 5-star running back or the quarterback. The difference is usually up front, that you can just lean on your guys, run the ball, be more physical, and then the defensive line kind of overwhelms people.
All right, up next, we'll wrap up our College Football Friday grab bag with Caleb Williams' NIL money, and Max Olson, a college football writer, had quite a scenario. So we're getting a 14-team playoff in 2026, most likely. Okay,
yes.
14. It's supposed to go to 12, but then they're going to change it to 14. Okay, so, well, I'll tell you, that could be disastrous.
Yes.
And I'll tell you an example that Max Olson brought up that would have happened in 2019
Intriguing.
had we had this format. We'll get to that next on The Fan. Yo, yo. You wondering what I'm doing, aren't you, bro?
Yes, I am.
Window Nash.
Love Windows.
Yeah, you too?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, Windows are cool. God, is Ryan Cooley alive?
Yeah, I saw him today.
Oh, really? Well, tell him to sell something.
I thought this might have something to do with you sending Kurt Ludwig to rehab.
His brakes are too short.
That's possible. This may be your fault.
Yeah, maybe it is.
You know,
Although I just saw him out there.
He was selling when he had a mountain of blow in front of him.
That's a good point. Get that man some blow.
Keeps you up, keeps you motivated.
Yeah, keep these brakes full.
Keeps you spirited.
Don't even have time to tinkle.
Gotta hustle.
God.
Gotta move. Gotta pull a Rick Riz.
All right, In the News is coming up next. Oh, hey, big In the News seggy.
What, a story in the...
Yeah.
Okay.
In-N-Out Burger, you know that?
Yeah, not a huge fan, but...
It's coming to Washington.
Oh, my God.
Yep.
Panic in the streets.
First ever In-N-Out in Washington. I'll tell you where.
I'm going to be driving to Olympia to get a very average cheeseburger.
No, I just go to Salem. Or
Kaiser, right?
Kaiser.
Is that where the In-N-Out is?
Yeah, you're right. Kaiser. It's right by the ballpark.
Yeah, I've never been down, but, you know.
Yeah, Washington's getting one, and we'll tell you where they put it.
Okay. I remember they got a
or
golden.
where they're gonna put it.
My dad once drove like 45 to an hour to go to a Golden Corral.
Hell yeah.
My dad loved, for whatever reason, he loved the Golden Corral, and they put one up north. I forget where. And we like went somewhere, and we just started driving like in the wrong direction. Like, where are we going? He didn't say anything, and then we just pulled into the Golden Corral. And one Robert Newell Brown couldn't have been any happier.
So 14-team playoff 2026. Get ready for it. Big Ten and SEC are already pushing for it.
Yeah, the next 2 years it's set.
It's going to be 12.
Set at 12. That's all agreed upon. But then the new contract kicks in 2026.
Yeah, and I'm not really sure why they're not just going straight to 16, because that would mean more schools for the Big Ten and SEC. But I don't know why. It's so. For some reason, they only want to do 14. I don't know. You have any answers for that, or?
Unless this ESPN's not willing to pay for more programming, and so the pie split more ways would be the only thing I can think of.
Why wouldn't you want more inventory?
Yeah,
though?
why wouldn't?
Because it's already $7 billion that they're ponying up for it. I mean, who knows? I
just feel like the money you can make back on a playoff. I mean, you'd start scrapping bowl games and stuff.
I don't know. It's just but supposedly ESPN's getting annoyed, and they're telling them to figure it out because ESPN has agreed to the money, but they need the actual format.
Yeah, like, what's the plan here, guys?
What's the plan? And so supposedly for the last 2 weeks, the SEC and the Big Ten are rattling cages saying, dude, get on board with what the hell we want or we'll just leave. And ESPN's like, hey, figure it out or we'll pull the offer. So, no one wants to do either one of those things, but there's some pressure being applied.
Yeah. What does that look like? If the Big Ten and the SEC leave?
They just do their own playoff. And if they wanted to really hamstring people, they would say, we're not playing any of your teams during the regular season. And they would sign a deal with ESPN, and it wouldn't be for $7 billion, but it would be probably for $6 billion. I mean, I think 21, it's either because if they were to do this, Florida State buys its way, probably Clemson out of the ACC. Notre Dame would join the Big Ten. 2 or 3 more schools would defect. Essentially, you could have 21 to 22 of the top 25 that would be Big Ten and SEC going into this season. So when people say, screw the Big Ten, let them leave. No, they could leave and they would form their own de facto college football championship. And I mean, it wouldn't have as much interest as the current one does, but it would do monster numbers. It would dwarf anything else, and ESPN would love to get on board with it. So they do have leverage. ESPN's leverage, I guess, in theory, has power because you could have NBC or whoever join in this, but is anyone willing to pony up $7 billion? So there's real leverage for both of those sides, but no one wants to go to those DEFCON 1 sort of situations where you do the nuke option, but they're there, which is why no one really has a whole lot of pushback against either one, because in order to have pushback, you have to be willing to have some sort of bargaining chip, and there's really not one for these other places.
I just don't think... I get it. They have all the leverage, the Big Ten and the SEC, but they don't want to do that.
No, they don't.
They don't want to split out on their own.
Which is why they're negotiating right now at the table.
Yeah.
But they're going to get the majority of what they want. I mean, the most ridiculous one that they're asking for, and I hope there's some pushback on it, is the automatic buys. So under the 14-team model, and this is probably why it doesn't go to 16. Under the 16 model, they wanted 3 automatic qualifiers. And under the current model, they'd get 2 each, and they would get buys.
But 16 teams would have no buys.
Yeah,
because it's an even number of teams to the point where it's just 8 on each side of the bracket, so there would be no buys.
And that may be why they don't want it.
That's probably why.
No, we want buys. So I mean, this idea that you could have I'm just trying to think. Utah go undefeated and be 12-0. King of the Big 12, 13-0, because they'd still have the Big 12 championship game, and they wouldn't get a bye, and a 10-3 Oregon or UW, who finishes second in the Big 10, would get a bye. I mean, that's kind of asinine.
Yeah, I think that I can deal with bye controversy because at least the team that doesn't get the bye is in the tournament.
Yeah.
The thing that I think is going to suck is this situation like Max Olson brought up. He's a college football writer. I don't know who he writes for now, but he's out there with his content, and he said that in 2019, if you took the 14-team playoff format that they're talking about, which is 3 Big Ten automatic berths, 3 SEC automatic berths, 2 for the ACC and 2 for the Big 12, and then the one group of 5.
Yeah.
He said that number 24 Virginia, who lost in the ACC title game 62-17, would have gotten the second automatic bid
In the ACC.
for the ACC, and they would have gotten into the 14-team tournament over Alabama, Michigan, and Notre Dame. So, dude, that is going to happen. It's going to happen because you've got so just think of it. All you have to have is a down year in the Big 12 or the ACC. If you have a down year in the Big 12 or the ACC, the second best team in that league is probably 15 to 25 in the rankings.
Yeah, probably.
Well, if they go, which they will because they're saying that 2 automatic bids from each of those leagues, tell me how many teams in the Big 10 and the SEC are better than that team that would not be in the top 3 of the Big 10 and the SEC.
Yeah, I understand that sucks, and then you're going with quantity over quality. I've heard that argument, but at the same time, I'm gonna have a hard time feeling bad for the 4th and 5th place team in the SEC.
Well, they could still get an at-large.
You
I mean, there would still be 3 at-larges.
Yeah, exactly. But
come on, there's going to be a situation
there's going to be
where
bad
a
teams
really
that get
good
in.
team does not make the 14-team playoff, and there are 2 teams in there that we're looking at going, what the hell are they doing in there?
Yeah, I know, and it's going to be stupid, and we'll yell about it, but what do I always say? Perfect is the greatest enemy of better, and this is better. Is it perfect? No, but I don't know how you get perfect. I mean, the automatic bids, I think, are stupid in general.
Agree.
I don't know why we just can't have the best
I think that's
teams.
where they're screwing it up.
But and the only reason we have this is because the Big 10 and the SEC are going to demand it, and everyone else is going to have to capitulate to it, and it's just the way
sucks,
it is.
But the way if everybody weren't just looking out for themselves, and everybody got to the table and was just like, let's just clean slate, do this the best way we can.
It would be better.
You're going 16 teams, top 16 in the rankings.
Yes.
Period.
Well,
and maybe
the champions.
Yeah,
Like you win your
conference
champions
are automatically in.
Yeah, you'd have
or you get higher seeding if you won your league.
Yeah, there has to be some incentive to win your conference title, and then after that, yes, it should just go by who's the best. But you're not going to have it, and the only way that anyone is going to be allowed to play in the reindeer games is by giving the Big 10 and the SEC what they want. Like they are the bullies. They control it. They're the money power players. And think about this though: if Florida State, Clemson, Notre Dame, Miami, if they all break away and end up in the SEC and in the Big 10, as most people think will happen, outside of the SEC and the Big 10, who are the 2 or 3 biggest voices in college football?
I mean,
what?
Notre Dame?
No, Notre Dame will be in the Big 10, guaranteed.
Oregon State? Kansas?
Can you make an argument that it's like Oklahoma State and Utah? Could you make an argument that it's North Carolina?
Miami?
Yeah, and though they probably end up in the SEC. I mean,
BYU?
You see what I mean? It's like if the ACC crumbles and Florida State buys their way out and it leads to 2 or 3 other schools buying out and Notre Dame falls in line, there is not a single significant player, not a single one, that is going to be able to stand up and say that we have clout, we want our voices heard. Not a single one. I mean, collectively, your king of the dip-esses, you can all get together and collectively raise a voice and maybe have a spot at the table in the SEC and in the Big 10 saying, yeah, we'll give you an at-large berth and here's a couple and shut up and, be happy and go away. I mean, they're giving the ACC 2 and the Big 12 2. I mean, honestly, if the Big 10 and the SEC wanted to, they could say, damn it, I'm taking 4 and we're giving you each 1. Suck it. And again, who's the voice to stand up? There just really isn't.
So what do you think happens to Army-Navy? That's the next thing they're saying is that Army-Navy has a deal with ESPN. It's a standalone event.
Yeah.
Huge game.
Yep. I hope it stays.
And they're going to move it. Or they're going to they're going to have to play tournament games on that day.
Yeah. And that's fine. I think you can play tournament games. The Army-Navy game is played in the afternoon. I hope that is the one. I hope everyone realizes that is a significant event, and it's bigger than just college football, and it's not about any sort of playoff because neither one of those schools has anything to do with a college football playoff. I hope that doesn't end up being a castaway, and I think it's too big of a deal to the country, and it's too big a deal to the supporters of that. Having been to that thing, that is a unique, special thing, and maybe you can find a way to move it to again its own kind of little avenue or its own little time slot. I just don't think that anyone wants to. No one wants to pee in the Cheerios of the military academies. I mean, that's. You want to talk about like really causing some controversy and pissing people off? Go after high school football in the South and go after our military.
Well,
that's not going to sit well.
So I said ESPN. The contract obviously was with CBS.
Yeah.
And so the Navy athletic director, his name is Chet Gladchuk.
Wow, great name, Chet.
Oh, that's awesome.
Hell yeah.
By the way, go Navy, beat Army.
He said moving the game is a non-starter. He
Okay.
said there is still some uncertainty with all of that right now, but our hope is that they will be respectful to the fact that this is America's game. It's special nationally and special to our troops all over the world. There's a respect about it, and it has been appreciated to date. Our associates have left that weekend alone. So he's saying we are not moving.
Okay.
And he said corporate sponsors, host city, military itself, everybody, with that contract, it's pretty ironclad.
Okay.
So it'll just get maybe overshadowed. I mean, well, it will. If other football games are on that weekend, it's normally its own, because they used to play it on conference championship weekend, and then they moved it a week later, and it's by itself. And it's great because it's the only football game we get.
Yeah.
And so I just think that
It's awesome.
more people tune into it.
Yeah, and it sells out. It's such a cool, unique event. It's the best thing I've ever
They
been
had
to.
7 million viewers.
Yeah.
For last year.
For a meaningless football game.
Yeah, 7 million. It made it the 21st most watched game of the season.
For two teams that are never even 500 for the most part.
Yeah, and it's like always like 13-6.
Yes. And I watch it every year, and it's truly a special game.
So that's something to keep an eye on, what they'll do with that.
And by the way, Vancouver Ford text line, if the SEC and the Big Ten go off on their own, good riddance. Monopolizing anything never works. Good luck screwing over an overwhelming majority of Americans. So you mean monopolies like Google and Luxottica and InBev and Facebook and AT&T, those don't work out? No, don't. In what world do monopolies not work out? Are you familiar with corporate America?
Shut up.
It's like,
Hey, shut up.
it's the reason why they have laws that try to break those things up, because monopolies actually work really, really well. When you control everything that someone wants, that is, I'd like that.
Well, they already control everything.
Exactly.
Big Ten and SEC.
Exactly.
But breaking off on their own is,
Just-
I don't know, that would be it would be kind of detrimental to them in a way.
I don't think they want to, but I also don't think that they're terrified to do it.
Well, they certainly have the leverage to do it, but again, they know that a system with everyone involved is better for
Is
them.
better, yes.
They know that.
Yes. Which is
So
why they'll come to the table. They'll work it out. It's the only reason they're giving any sort of concessions to anybody.
Yeah. All right, there's your college football Friday grab bag. And oh, by the way, Caleb Williams, they say, made $10 million in NIL money.
Hey-oh.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. He's got a Lambo.
Boy, that, it makes you think about, because we opened the show, we're talking about USC. The last major thing the NCAA ever did was punish USC. That was for like $200,000.
Yeah, Bush was a couple hundred G's.
Caleb Williams got $10 million.
Reggie Bush is just pissed.
And he still doesn't even have his Heisman.
Nope. And Reggie was a bigger deal. No offense to Caleb Williams. Reggie Bush was a bigger deal than Caleb Williams was.
Way bigger.
And did they keep the house? Who got the house? Was there a house involved?
Yeah, his parents got a house, but I don't think he bought it for him. I think they were just allowed to stay there. So,
Hey, Buck, you got tight sports pants with Evan Williams broad jump?
10-6, baby.
What do you think?
More like 6 to midnight.
It moved a little for.
my
God!
There was a wiggle.
Moved a little for.
Well,
Buck.
I mean,
it's hard
I
for me
was-
after watching all the D linemen work out. No offense, but it's hard for me to be impressed by what the DBs are doing.
I was surprised that
Why?
Sue could stay on the topic of Army-Navy when we had the Kool-Aid McKinstry Kool-Aid test going on the Combine. Did you see that happening?
Oh, is that what they were doing?
Yeah, Kool-Aid McKinstry was taste testing 4 different kinds of Kool-Aid and giving his Kool-Aid reviews, because that's how riveting
Is
this
Kool-Aid?
event is.
That's still a thing, Kool-Aid?
It is. And then they flashed a graphic with his bio compared to the Kool-Aid Man.
Okay.
Yeah.
Up
That's where we
next, In and Out is coming to Washington. We'll tell you where they're putting it. Here's Buck with Sports Minute.
Now,
Hot 5 at 5, 20 minutes away. Joey Harrington next hour. Club 1080, the whole thing. Right now it is March 1st, 2024. It is time for the news. I am your noted newsman. Hello.
I'm busy eating almond roca. Sorry.
Thank you.
There's still so much
I
of that.
can't not eat it. It's officially like crack.
Well, they're great.
If you had a pile of crack cocaine back there, it's the same. You just walk by, you're like, I'll just smoke
They're
a little
great,
crack.
but there is a never-ending supply. Like, I'm just amazed at how much quantity of almond roca there is.
I think I'm incapable of walking by the pile of almond roca and not grabbing
And the
one.
pile never dwindles.
No.
There's always more, not
It's
less.
a never ending. It's a Willy Wonka sort of thing.
Yeah,
where
the
you just-
everlasting gobstopper, everlasting
just
roca.
More just shows up.
You know, quite frankly, I find it delightful because they're small enough that you can justify them. You
Oh,
know,
yeah.
It's like, they're just tiny. Oh, I'll just have one little, you know. I've had 2 already today.
Yeah.
And I'm fighting off the third.
Right? There's like a line where you start feeling bad. Because if it was like a foot-long almond roca, you wouldn't eat it. You're like, that's ridiculous.
That's absurd.
That's
I could have
absurd.
6 of those little guys.
But yeah, exactly. You'll eat 3 feet of them when they're in small size. It's why the little candy bar is way more dangerous. Like, I'll never sit down and eat a full, like a king-size Snickers, but a fun size, oh. We just nibble on those for a while.
Today is Employee Appreciation Day.
Yes, I received 30 Odyssey bucks today.
Yeah, we gotta.
Someone appreciated me.
Well, it wasn't just you; it was all of us.
Oh, you got them too, huh?
Well, yeah.
Well, now I feel less appreciated. I thought I was special.
Well, we got an email from our big head cheese guy. in
I was
Philly,
wondering what the street value of that 30 Odyssey bucks is.
and he said he appreciates us, so I believe him.
Do we know what we can do with those Odyssey bucks?
Redeem them for hugs. No, that's probably against HR. I don't know.
Look, I'm just saying mine might be for sale for anyone out there. Again, I don't know, Buck, what the street value is, but...
Do you now have 30, or do you have more, like me?
Oh, you have more, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I've been
Odyssey-
awarded Odyssey bucks before
Have you really?
for being awesome and handsome
I don't know if I ever have. How do
and
you
well
find,
hung.
How do you find out? Well, of course. How do you find out how many Odyssey bucks you have?
I don't know.
I don't know. As far as I know, this is my only Odyssey bucks. But I like that it's like like back in the day, like a railroad bond. Like what? I can go buy something at the railroad
Who
store.
do you think has the most Odyssey bucks at the fan? Probably Swigard, huh?
Yeah, he's the biggest kiss ass here, right?
Guarantee he makes plays for Odyssey bucks.
It's his retirement. He's like, yeah. It's like some sort of weird Chuck E. Cheese Big Al sort of thing. He's got his eye like on a PlayStation.
An Odyssey station.
His eye on a PlayStation 2 that he's looking to pick up. All he needs is 9,000 more Odyssey bucks.
There's also National Dadgum That's Good Day. Dadgum it.
You know what?
dadgum mistake.
Dadgum it.
Daggum, that almond roca is delightful.
Now, is dadgum, is that just so that religious people don't want to say
I
GD?
think
It's so they
so.
can say GD and get away with
If
it.
you hang around the Mormons, you get a lot of...
A lot of dadgum.
Well, you get like the you get those, and you get the
Gosh
frick and the
darn.
frack and the gosh darn it, and they've got flippin'.
So they want to cuss, they just...
This is why I never
can't.
understood. I took a lot of flack, even during my church days from a mouth, and I get it. I got a potty mouth, but I never understood why someone saying frick when I know what you want to say, and I just say what you want to say. Why is that any worse? I've never understood that. I know what
Wait,
you're saying.
why is it worse to say the actual word?
Yeah, I'd be in a group of people and they'd be like, man, that really,
That really fricks me off.
yeah, whatever. Like,
Or,
hey,
hey,
man, yeah,
frick
frick
off.
you. And I'd be like, what? And I would just say, or how about this? And then I would be like, F you. And then they
Just saying F.
well, I would say the whole thing. You can't say it on the air. I have a horrible mouth. It's terrible.
Blasphemous.
It's so bad. But I would get a lot of crap for that, and then I'd get called in by someone in a position of authority, and they would talk to me about my language, and of course in front of the children and the olds, and I just was like, really? Like, you can't handle a four-letter? I just never understood it. It made no sense to me. Because if you say the slang word, the frick or the, shoot, we all know what you're trying to... Our mind instantly goes there. I know what you're saying.
Louis C.K. had a whole bit about racial slur in that one.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, dear.
He's like, when you say that word, you're just making me think the slur that you're not actually willing to say.
Amen.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you say something, if you say a racial slur, but it's just a softer version of it, and you say that, like if I went up to a black person.
Are you referring to that slur?
Yes, and I said something that was very close to the N-word, but it wasn't. There was a letter or two change on it. You think that guy's going to be like, all right, man, cool. No, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, it's ridiculous. Swear words are the dumbest thing out there. That somehow we've come up with some arbitrary thing that this is the end all, the be all. That and some other reasons are why I'm not welcome back anymore.
Clark County residents are craving a cheeseburger animal style. Wait.
We are?
Well, I read that wrong. Clark County residents craving a cheeseburger animal style are in luck.
Damn right.
California fast food chain In-N-Out has submitted an application for a location in...
Well, Clark County, you just said it, so...
I know, but where? Clark County's big.
Not really. I don't know.
Ridgefield!
Oh!
Ridgefield!
That's too far away.
Getting In-N-Out. I thought you just said Clark County wasn't that big.
No, that's the outer limits of Clark County. I'm out.
The restaurant would be the first In-N-Out in Washington, according to planning documents submitted to the city of Ridgefield. The company plans to build near the under-construction Ridgefield Costco at Union Ridge Town Center on Pioneer Street, just west of I-5.
There's a Costco out there?
They're building it.
Huh. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one. But residents of La Center, Ridgefield, maybe Salmon Creek, right up your alley. I will not drive to Kaiser for an animal style, nor will I drive to Ridgefield for an animal style. But if you want to go to Ridgefield, go to that, there's a fish mart right off I-5. It's going to be right over there. I'm telling you, that fish mart there, dynamite in Ridgefield. I think it's like they call it the Pacific Fish Company or whatever. Go there. Clam chowder to die for and delightful shrimp. Or go there and get an animal style. I don't know. Whatever you imagine the line. The idea that someone stands in line for In-N-Out blows me away.
Well, they really don't stand in line. They sit in line because it's usually through
But
the
when they
drive-thru.
first open, it's for like hours at a time. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll wait 4 hours for my double-double. No. I'll wait 4 months to wait 5 minutes for my double-double.
My wife and I ate there once just to see what all the fuss was about.
Yeah.
And it was, I'm with you, it's overrated. Whatever. Wouldn't go back or, I don't know. It's just fast food burger. It's nothing special.
Yeah.
But we obviously the one in Kaiser,
Yeah.
we were driving back from Central Oregon and we were like, oh, let's stop at In-N-Out. And then we saw the line and we were like, oh, let's not stop at In-N-Out. But somebody gave us the tip to just go inside.
Yeah.
So you see the line of cars and it's just like 8 miles long. Usually there's no way you're going to sit through that. But literally the parking lot is empty. We parked right in the parking
5
lot.
minutes later.
Walked right in and got a burger.
Yeah. I've actually done that a time or two when the drive-thru's super long. Because no one wants to get out of the car because we're fat and lazy. But I took my kids down to San Francisco years ago for the first time, and they had never seen an In-N-Out. And they have one there. What is the pier? What's the big pier, Buck? Like
Pier 39.
Pier 39. And there's one right there. And my kids were like, we want to try In-N-Out. We're down here. We waited in that stupid line because that's not a drive-thru. It's just,
Yeah, they don't have that option.
They don't have that option. We waited in that damn line for probably 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, when they got the look on all my kids' faces were like, serious?
Yeah,
I'm
This
like,
is it.
I was like,
You're getting a fast food smash burger.
I'm
And
like,
it
I
was kind
tried-
of the first of its kind, maybe, but
I tried to tell you guys, and they were like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "Yeah, lesson to be learned."
I feel that way with like regional cuisine almost everywhere. Though, like you go to Texas and people are like, "Oh, you got to try Whataburger,"
Yeah, it's fine.
and then you get it, and it's a burger on toast. It's not like
You guys ever been to Hardee's?
isn't Hardee's and Carl's Jr. under the same umbrella?
Same umbrella. I'm more
They
of a
are.
Checkers or Rallies guy.
Hardee's is a Midwest Carl's Jr.
Yeah, same everything. Checkers and Rallies I miss. Like that's a Southern thing too. It's delightful. And instead of In-N-Out, can we get a bag of dicks down here, please?
Oh God,
What?
that was terrifying.
No, I need a Dick's
You woke
Deluxe.
me up. That was like a line of blow.
By the way, Bird Denier is running his 40 right now.
What?
Bird
it's the
Denier.
Is this Tip Ryman?
Tip Ryman.
Bird denier. It's a big dude, and I'm not going to tell him that birds are real. But no, my favorite of those, whatever, the regional, whatever, I like the Dick's Drive-In up in Seattle.
It's really good.
Yeah, you give me a bag of Dick's, yeah, now we're talking.
Some
Couple Dick's Deluxes.
Very good friends of mine at their wedding reception, they had someone go out and get just like 200 or 300 Dick's burgers and bring them back to the dance floor.
It's a staple anytime I go up north. But again, Should you wait in line for an hour for that? No. No, you shouldn't. To Vancouver text line, Dick's is awesome. Yeah, it is.
Oregon takes a massive step towards recriminalizing drug use.
All right.
That story is next on The Fan.
This is The Fan's Window into Sports, a view into today's top stories. Brought to you by Window Nation, online at windownation.com.
It went good. Man, it was an interesting meeting. You know, it was different than the others. You know, but I felt good. I felt confident going into it. Going out of it, I felt confident as well. You know, and playing for Coach Sean Payton, you know, that'd be special. You know, obviously he's a great coach. You know, one of the best in the game. You know, and to be able to learn from him, it would be special. So.
That's Michael Penix Jr. discussing what the Broncos were talking to him about.
Yeah, I'll be interested with Penix and Nix because I see their evaluations kind of all over the board. I'll be interested to see where those guys land. I think Penix's biggest deal is just going to be the medicals and what people think of his body because of the injury history.
The Fan's Window into Sports brought to you by Window Nation. Get 50% off all styles of windows, plus pay nothing with no interest for 2 full years right now at windownation.com.
The best basketball party is back. Join Danny and Dusty and Isaac and Sue as George McCoy and Warren Allen Attorneys at Law presents Fan Madness, March 21st and 22nd at the Stadium Sports Bar, home of the A&A Sportsbook. Presented by George McCoy and Warren Allen Attorneys at Law. Injuries and missing work ruining your day? Call George McCoy at warrenallen.com. He'll make them pay. Fan Madness at A&A with Portland's sports leader, 1080 The Fan.
Portland Perks.
Leave the driving to fun tours for your next adventure. Wine tasting tours, bachelorette or bachelor parties. They'll get your group to its destination in style. Save 40% off reservation for up to 11 people. A limited quantity is available at this special rate at portlandperks.com.
See life better without glasses or contacts. Hey, it's Isaac Ropp inviting you to join King LASIK's free live webinar Thursday, March 7th at 7 p.m. You'll learn all about LASIK and meet some of the King LASIK doctors who are the most experienced in the Northwest. They've done over 250,000 procedures. Plus, everyone attending the webinar gets a special $1,200 discount off their procedure. Before I had LASIK, I had a lot of questions, and you probably do too, like how long is the procedure? Can I really see 20/20 the very next day? What are the differences between LASIK and refractive lens exchange, and what is the cost and is there financing? Well, this King LASIK webinar is your chance to ask all of those questions. But the one thing I've never questioned is going to King LASIK. They gave me the freedom to do all the things I love without hassling with glasses and contacts. So, do yourself a favor. Attend.
Seeing a clip here. I used to play old man baseball. I used to play in the men's leagues.
Semi-pro, thank you.
Semi-pro. I think this is down in Texas. Someone showed up to their men's league game, and Jason Worth was playing for the other team, and he just hit one 8 million. Like, the first pitch is nowhere near the plate. The second one, he just annihilate. Like he just disappears into the night.
Jason Worth, former Major League Baseball player.
Yeah, still has the same hair, the beard, everything.
Looking like a werewolf as always.
And apparently he is in some men's league down south somewhere and is just raking, which I actually think is pretty awesome. If you're Jason Worth, that has to be a lot of
I'd
fun.
want to pitch to him.
Would you?
Yeah.
I'd be scared of the comebacker.
I
No,
think it'd
thank
be
you. I'd
fun.
like to play center field for that.
I think someone's got the nerve. Do you buzz him?
I'm buzzing.
You think he's
Back him off
Think
a
he's
little bit.
grounding the plate a little
That's
bit?
Yeah,
right.
after disrespecting you with that kind of like 400-foot bomb, yeah, you got to brush him back.
Back it off, bitch. Come with my outside hanging curveball
Like what?
that you can just golf right over the right field wall.
And
I'm
by
gonna
the way-
kick your ass, you little bitch.
And the person throwing him is
Wow.
throwing curveballs.
Well, yeah, he doesn't have a fastball. Dude, listen, I played enough semi-pro baseball to know this. Any good hitter, do not throw them a fastball. Why? You don't have one. That's like a flat, like, you might as well tee it up for him.
So you're just throwing curveballs to Jason
Well,
Worth?
yes. You're going to throw him a fastball? What do you think? You're going to get it by him?
I want nothing more than to show up at someone's men league and just have Adam Dunn's just out there rolling out. What's up, guys?
Yeah, well, guess what Adam Dunn's getting?
Forget about the heater. Give him the curveball, Roper.
The most junk I have, he's getting it. It's my only chance.
Oh, I
Well, I mean, not
love
that
it.
I have a chance, but like, just imagine him looking at your fastball, like just straight down the. Like, dude, I'm just gonna blow it by him. It doesn't even matter. I'm just gonna blow it right by you. Adam Dunn.
Yeah, at least give it a little bit of movement
Yeah.
because otherwise, okay, dude, what is
Yeah.
this?
What
You
is
haven't
that?
seen my-
75.
You haven't seen my heat.
You are maxing out at 79 miles per hour.
That's like a curveball in his world.
It's barely BP
Except it doesn't
speed.
even move. He's like, really? At least try.
Is baseball the worst men's league to play against a professional?
Probably, but imagine if you did like a rec basketball league and you're getting like yammed on by like Dwight Howard or LeBron or
Yeah, I
somebody
think
like
they're
that.
all. I mean, they're all going
That's
to be
true.
bad.
Yeah, because Wirt's 44. So imagine like 44-year-old Dwight Howard showing up down at the 24-hour fitness in Tualatin. It's up, boys.
Yeah.
I'm here to play some ball. You're like, oh. Kevin Willis, who's like 63, is out there in his elbow pads. Just giving you throwing a bow there. He's rebounding, boxing you out.
Every time I look up at the combine, there's a white guy running,
Yeah.
and then I realize it's all tight ends.
Yeah.
They're all white.
Although the Washington tight end, is it Culp? He ran 4.47.
Yes, but is he white?
No, he's a black guy.
That's leading all tight ends right now, apparently. Culp.
Yeah, in the battle of the racial team that everyone was put together, like Will Compton, the whites did dominate the tight end position.
Yeah, we always do.
That's all we got.
Take that.
That's all we got.
A bill that would make possession of small amounts of drugs a crime in Oregon for the first time in 3 years is now one vote from reaching the desk of Governor Tina Kotek.
All right.
On Thursday, the House voted overwhelmingly to pass House Bill 4002, despite many lawmakers voicing concerns that the proposal goes too far or not far enough. So we're getting close to recriminalizing
Recriminalizing.
drug
Fixing
use,
what we had in the first place. I
drug
don't know.
possession.
Look, and I'll admit, I was all for it. I was like, oh, God, let's just make drugs legal. Turned out it was a terrible idea, and at least we can admit when we were wrong. Bad idea, everybody. Let's go back to
Well-
making it a bad thing and getting some people some help.
I actually don't think it's a bad idea. It's worked in other places. We just apparently I was talking to a bunch of cops about this, my cop friend.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how we implemented it so poorly.
Yeah.
There was no
There's no-
enforcement so the idea was people are going to take this and go, well, see, that idea is terrible. Well, it's not. It works in other places.
We just did it
could
poorly.
not implement it worth an S.
Yeah. And by the way, if we don't implement the new rules, it'll still be
Exactly.
anything you do, we actually have to have some teeth behind. But it would be nice to not have people smoking crack and heroin and fentanyl just in the streets openly. Pioneer Courthouse Square. That'd be nice. That'd just be nice.
Easy for you to say.
I always kind of like that Hamsterdam idea from the show The Wire, where they're like, yeah, just put it specifically in one area, let it be, but only in one like 4x4 block
Give them
radius.
Delta Park. That thing's gone anyways, right?
Yes, sure, something like that. Just decide that one area for it's okay.
Or-
you can do it. You just need to do it over there.
Or guys, follow me. Cruise ship.
Bon voyage.
Anyone? Willamette. Just saying.
There's your in the news, guys.
I'm gonna go to that lake.
March 1,
Yeah, go to
2024.
that lake, man.
We'll be back with another In the News on March 4th. But not before.
Oh, yeah. I was like,
Right?
wait. Oh,
2,
right,
3,
yeah.
4. Yeah, wait. Yeah, 4th.
Believe me, I was doing the same thing. Do you do that? Like you're counting on your fingers and in your head, you're like, wait, 7, 3, 4. Yeah, 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4.
All right. Well, the Hot 5 at 5 is coming up next. A lot of hot sports news. And then Joey Harrington next hour as well. It is 4:57 on The Fan.
Around here at Wrangler, we are
Welcome back. Hope you're having a nice, juicy little Friday. It's your Sports Bros, Rob and Sook. I'm Rob. Big Sook's right over there.
Right here.
We've got Buck over there.
There you go.
Well, hello there.
Joey Harrington will join us at 5:30. We will talk about whatever comes to mind.
Well, story time, right?
We don't really plan these story times.
No, we're just in the midst now of just things happening.
We'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
The conversation. Coming up tonight in the club, we will have to discuss whether or not you recline your seat on an airplane.
Had one of those flying back from New Orleans. We had a situation.
Yeah, it's becoming a thing.
Yeah.
Somebody went viral.
It's not universal anymore. It used to
No,
be
it
accepted, and now I think it's more of a situational based thing.
Well, you know who's to blame, don't you?
Probably Boeing.
Yeah, big airline.
Yeah, because aren't the spaces smaller now?
Exactly. People haven't changed. They're just taking our space
Well, the
slowly
people
but
have
surely.
changed. You know, we're getting bigger and bigger.
Okay, that much is true, but they are also trying to squeeze every nickel and dime out, so they're making it less comfortable for everyone and making you pay more for that space.
When you shrink everything down, how many extra seats are they squeezing in on those things?
That's a great question. I don't know the
You
answer.
squeezing in like an extra row? You get like 6 extra seats per flight? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends what kind of size jet you're starting with, and then go from there. But I don't know.
Well, I like to blame everything on Boeing these days. So
let's go with that.
We're gonna go with it.
I did fly my. It wasn't an Alaska flight, but on my way back from New Orleans, we were on one of the 737 Max.
You were?
We were. And you better believe I was
Oh
looking
my
for the
God.
damn cutout.
How are you alive?
I was like, what is happening? Yeah, I looked at the little the lady next to me was looking at the safety card, and I saw that it was the Max whatever 8/9A or whatever, and I was like, oh boy. I did. I was looking around to see if I could see the door plug, but where I was sitting, I couldn't, and then I
Now,
forgot about
was it abnormally empty, the flight?
No,
Because a lot of people are avoiding those planes.
No, it was
Full.
quite full.
Yeah.
So
no one cares.
I don't know. I mean, the flight down there, and I don't know what the plane was going down, but yeah, going down it was empty, but coming back it was jam packed.
All right. Well, that's what we have coming up tonight. Probably some other stuff, sports and all that. Right now, the Hot 5 at 5.
Hot topics, hot opinions,
Oh, Charlie, I'm hot today.
and hot air. It's time for the Hot 5 at 5.
That's hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 on Primetime with Isaac and Sue.
No, I mean it. That's very hot.
The Hot 5 at 5 with Isaac and Sue. Brought to you on The Fan by Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Online at victoricos.com. Number 5.
Well, one of the biggest NFL free agents, and NFL free agency will begin shortly, is Bucs receiver Mike Evans.
Yep.
The report is that he plans to explore free agency.
That'll be weird because Mike Evans is, I mean, and I don't know if people view him this way. You can make the argument he's the greatest Tampa Bay Buccaneer of all time. I mean, he has had quietly one of the best careers of any receiver ever. I mean, I think it's 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. There's a Super Bowl mixed in there. I mean, he certainly is the best wide receiver in Buccaneers history. So when you talk about great Buccaneers, it's like Derek Brooks, Warren Sapp. It's Mike Evans, and it'll be weird to see him somewhere else.
I can't say that I knew he had 10 straight 1,000-yard seasons. He has never had less than 1,000 yards.
He's the portrait of consistency.
Yes.
Like Travis Kelce is for tight ends. He
Dude, that's
just
nuts.
And we just don't think about him when we talk about the best receivers in football, and he's got a Super Bowl. What more do you want? And by the way, last year, when they were like, well, we don't know if we want him around anymore, he's getting a little older,
Number
79
4.
catches, 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns.
By the way, they're saying that he is talking to the Bucs, but
Yeah.
he also wants to look around.
Yeah.
Which, I
I
can't
get it.
blame him.
Mike Evans is greatness.
The Trailblazers are in Memphis tonight and tomorrow trying to snap that 9-game losing streak. The Grizzlies, they're not very good. They're just 7-22 at home, but pretty much everyone for the Blazers is out.
Yeah.
So
Tank. I was worried about like these back-to-back games in Memphis when the over-under was in doubt. There's at least a split coming here.
at least a split,
At least a
and
split.
you know,
you think?
they keep ruling guys out. It's wonderful for us.
Dude, no one has waved the white flag quite like.
Yeah, they got to get one here, right? One of these? Like, they're not going to lose every game the rest of the way. They got to get a game like
We
this.
can hope. I'm confident that they're going to lose one of these. I'm fine.
All right. Celtics lead the Mavericks. Good little matchup in Boston tonight. First quarter is 36-28. Luka is out there.
Yeah.
And the Warriors are losing to the Raptors.
Did you see any of Chet and Wemby last night?
Yeah, I saw the highlights.
Lord.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that's
that's
going to be fun in the future.
Yes, it is.
I saw you mentioned the Warriors are north of the border. I saw that their plane had mechanical failure and couldn't leave New York till 5 a.m. and they got in at 7 a.m. They're playing tonight.
Quit making
excuses.
Well, I'm okay. Okay. Just telling a sports story.
Bitch.
Why don't you put that in your leading the charge report? Your Warriors are a bunch of whiny bitches about flights.
Hey, the
you
scan.
guys are producing for me today. I love this.
Yeah, we got you. The scan came back clean on the elbow of Mariners reliever Matt Brash. They're saying it's just inflammation. He's going to start throwing again next week.
Oh, that's good.
But the start of the season, he'll be on the IL. Yeah, but that's really good news. Although he'll probably still have Tommy John.
Yeah, because
I
just swear, anytime someone ever says potential Tommy John, I just assume. Because you see that sometimes they're like, oh, it's not as bad as we thought. And then a month later, Tommy John.
Yeah, exactly. The Mariners are out of the gate just 1-4. But, of course, Julio's been out because he's hurt.
It's spring training. Does anyone...
Hey, it's a big deal.
Hey, how many... If you're trying to win 54% of your regular season games, is like spring training like 32%?
Well, they lost again today, 10-9, so they're now
my God.
1-5.
Panic in the streets.
Fire
You out of your mind?
Scott Service. 3 college football rules changes are coming. They have all been proposed. Now, formal approval of these won't be until April, but the competition committee has approved helmet communications.
Yeah, the whole Michigan thing and the sign stealing. Exactly, just put the damn comm in the helmet and problem solved.
Yep. Also, that soon to be approved will be in-game tablet use and a 2-minute warning in college football.
Yeah, it's like the Microsoft tablets that you see all the quarterbacks having.
Yeah, so Tom Brady can throw it.
There you go.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that.
That was awesome.
This is like I can't believe college football took this long to figure these stupid things out.
They move slow.
Yeah, they do.
Those dum-dums.
Come too far together to stop now. Let's do it. That's it, baby. Shut it from the rooftops. America's #1 fighting force.
Number 1.
My number one.
And more NCAA news. Stealing the headlines today. Yet another courtroom loss for the NCAA, and they have told their enforcement staff to halt all investigations into booster-backed collectives or other third parties making NIL compensation deals with college athletes.
Basically, to cut through all the BS, the NCAA came out today and said that they have no way to enforce this. They don't want to do this, but there's nothing they can do. And so if you are an NIL now, third party, you can basically do whatever you want. There are no more rules. There are no more regulations.
Not that anyone was following those anyway.
No, but at least there was some sort of attempt at trying to keep things somewhat on the rails, and now you don't have to because the NCAA folded up their tent today and said, like, there's literally nothing we can do. It's kind of crazy because they said that even if they try to enforce laws, they're going to lose in the courtroom. So they're basically begging for help now, saying that college football as a whole has to get together and all collectively come up with something. They said that basically these things have to happen in an NCAA meeting room because they can't happen in a courtroom because they keep getting their asses handed to them. And if you don't know this is where the NCAA tried to investigate Tennessee, the Volunteers, for NIL violations. And Tennessee got their attorney general to sue along with Virginia, and they basically won. And so the NCAA quit today, and any NCAA regulation as we know it in this world is over and dead. This is a landmark deal in college football. If you want we've been talking about this, all the different cases that are going through the courts and what they could mean. This is a big domino for college football. This is a really, really bad or good blow for the progression of college football, depending on what you view the future of college football to be.
So one thing I didn't put in the Hot 5 because it's not really news, but the scuttle from the Combine is that we already have a team willing to trade up into the top 3 for a quarterback.
Ooh.
And that team is the New York Football Giants.
Oh, so that $43 million you gave Daniel Jones is no longer...
Sounds like they want to replace Daniel Jones.
Yeah. And I'll be interested because, there could be, if you're the Bears Bears and you're not in love with Caleb Williams, you imagine the Bears trading down to 2 or 3 and then trading out of 2 or 3 again. They could walk away with 97 first-round picks.
Yeah, they could.
If they wanted to keep Justin Fields.
Yeah, they certainly could. They could pay him and then just
they
do the opposite of the big money or of the rookie quarterback that makes no money, and then you pay a bunch of guys.
To have an entire team full of rookies and then a quarterback.
Yeah, and then pay your quarterback $800 million.
Yeah.
And everyone else makes rookie deals.
Because someone would move up to get one, and then another team would move up into 2 or 3 to get your other picks.
They're saying for New York, though, because they're already at number 6, so they could get a quarterback at number 6, but if they like one of the guys in the top 3, they're just saying that the price tag for a top 3 pick this year, it's just going to be astronomical.
Yep. Well, I mean, Chicago has basically said that if you want to even sniff around, the price starts at what they did last year, which is 2 1s, 2 2s, and DJ Moore. I mean, think about like a number 1 receiver, 2 firsts, and 2 seconds, and that probably doesn't get it done this year, but that's the starting point to move up into the number 1 spot. I mean, that's, boy, I'll tell you what, you better think Caleb Williams is the second coming of Jesus if you're giving that up.
So, how did the Bears get the number 1? What was that deal?
What do you mean?
Because they got this pick from
Carolina
Panthers.
Carolina's the worst team in football. And so Carolina moved up last year to the number 1 pick to take Bryce Young.
That's right.
So the Bears have their pick, which is 9, and then they have Carolina's pick. So think about that. If you're Carolina, you gave that up to draft Bryce Young.
And that has not looked good so far.
No, it's
if it were Stroud, you'd be like, okay.
Yeah, you're fine. You got CJ Stroud, but Carolina potentially could be staring at arguably the worst draft day deal of all.
Do you think that's why Frank Reich got fired?
Yes.
You think he was one of the guys that said it was Young over Stroud?
Clearly he either
they turfed him like mid-season.
Yeah, so either he got fired because of his role in that, or he got fired because maybe he was like, dude, I told you not to draft this kid. You drafted him anyways, and what do you want me to do with him?
He was also not so subtly taking jabs at ownership and meddling and things like that. Like he was saying publicly, well, when you have a lot of opinions in the room and stuff like that, and it didn't seem like that landed very well.
Or he might have been one that said, I'm telling you guys, it's not Bryce Young, it's not Bryce Young, it's not Bryce Young. Yep. And then they take Bryce Young, and Bryce Young sucks, and they're like, you're out.
And he's like, well, see, what did I tell you? They're like, well, we can find someone who can work with him. Yeah.
Just it makes you look like such an ass clown that CJ Stroud is just killing it right now. Meanwhile, your guy can't see over the line and it's just bad. There was nothing that Bryce Young did all year that gave you any sort of faith. And it's not his fault that CJ Stroud is bad, but when the guy behind you is that good, it just makes your failure that much more I don't know. It illuminates it.
The Hot 5 is brought to you by Victorico's Mexican Food, the most popular burrito spot in Oregon. Order now at victoricos.com. The Jim Harbaugh Tales, next on The Fan. All right, Joey Harrington will join us coming up next. I'm going to ask him if he believes in any conspiracy theories, if he thinks pigeons are real.
I'm guessing he's going to be thrown off by that.
Those scientists better check their hypotenuses, dude.
ESPN.com had an article today on, it's titled, well, it just says, former players share stories of Chargers coach Jim Harbaugh.
Mm-hmm.
Not a very compelling title.
No.
But, it got me to click on it. You know?
That's all that matters.
What would you have
this?
titled
I did
it?
not read this.
I don't know. I don't know.
The Psycho Within. That's what I'm going with.
Ooh, I like that. But I clicked on it. I'm like, Harbaugh's interesting to me, and I'm sure there's, some pretty good tales.
Sure. I mean, we're all familiar with some of the stories, the sleepovers and the, Jim Harbaugh he's an interesting guy, very intense guy, slapping Jim Schwartz on the back, and a lot of milk, and Harbaugh's
Still brings his glove to MLB baseball games to catch foul balls.
Yeah, he's a character. His whole family doesn't really like him.
So the guys at San Diego, I think David Bakhtiari was at San Diego, or maybe it says Eric Bakhtiari. He played defensive end at San Diego. I assume that's David's brother?
Possible. I mean, that's a pretty interesting last name, if, coincidence.
Of the Bakhtiaris?
Yes.
He was at San Diego, and when they first got him at San Diego, they were all like, no way, freaking Jim Harbaugh is going to be our coach?
Yeah.
And they're like, he said Captain Comeback, because he was Captain Comeback when he played.
Yeah.
And they were like, wow, we're going to get Captain Comeback? At that time, they didn't know that, all this stuff we know of Harbaugh now.
Yeah, he was just
he was a new coach. It was like
he
was in the NFL as a QB's coach and stuff, and he went to San Diego, and Bakhtiari said he still looked like he could play. He had a big chiseled jaw. He walked around with that intensity, and one day they said he came in and he shook the entire culture up. He said one of the first changes he implemented was how the team trained, and he made him run this big giant hill on campus at USD, and he said it would take players about a minute to get to the top. And it said on one occasion, Harbaugh joined the team in the sprints, leading the group for each rep. Some players were too tired to keep up and began hiding in bushes or standing off to the side because of the amount of reps and fast pace with which Harbaugh was leading. And Harbaugh felt the effects too. Quote, he was full speed up the hill, turned to the left, threw up, got a little bit on his windbreaker on his shoulder and his arm, never broke stride, never said anything about it. He acted like nothing happened. It was like the vomit was an inconvenience to his goal.
Oh, my gosh.
From that day forward, the team deemed that hill Harbaugh Hill.
When Bronco Mendenhall was the coach at BYU, there's a big Y up on the mountain, and they would hike the Y. And that was the same sort of thing. Bronco would beat most of the guys. That was like his deal. His name Bronco. But yeah, it's always a coach power move when they're like, and Harbaugh he'd been training for that thing in secret for months, ready to show some dudes up.
Well, he puked.
Yeah, he puked, but shrugged it off. And I do remember, Harbaugh now looks like an old man, but remember when we first saw him at Pac-12 Media Day, whatever that was, 15 years ago? Harbaugh looked like $1 million.
He wasn't wearing the khakis and the...
No. He was like in a suit, and he was sharp. And now he's like...
I have some pictures of us interviewing him.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
He has aged terribly.
Well, he started to turn into his dad.
Yes. Yeah. And he always had when he would take a shirt off and he would still wear the khakis and the black belt and,
Well, they're saying, so one of the other stories that was on here was the Michigan weight room. They said that it was not uncommon that you would find him in the workout room working out in khakis and a polo and his whistle and cap and his...
I don't like Jim Harbaugh, but I love some of the stories. The idea of him just going into the weight room and firing off some 135 reps while in coaching garb, whistle dangling around.
You said 135. They said they put 225s on the bench.
225s and 245s on each side.
That's what it says.
Oh, look at Harbaugh.
Chris Jenkins said that.
He had Harbaugh getting after it.
Yeah, and in his khakis, dude.
I remember in his khakis in San Francisco, we did a whole story on how he was upset in cold weather playoff games on the road that he couldn't get good enough footing, so he started wearing cleats on the sideline.
Yeah, and he still does. That's the Joe Paterno thing.
Yeah.
You want to know how old you are? Yes, you're wearing cleats.
And khakis.
Yeah, that is full. What if he's just morphing into Joe Paterno? Like he shrinks like 6 inches. He gets a mighty hump. He wears those big, thick-ass glasses now. He's becoming Joe. If he poops his pants, oh my God, we have Joe Paterno.
Another one said at San Diego, he got mad that they weren't playing for anything when they played Dayton, their rival. I don't know why they're
Dayton's the rival of San Diego.
Had no idea.
I couldn't tell you.
But apparently they had won just one game against Dayton since joining the league that they joined in '93. So Harbaugh made it matter to them by created a flag to take to the game. He ran out on the field with the flag. One side had Dayton's colors and the other side had USD's colors.
Yeah.
And he was like, one of the players said, and Harbaugh goes to their coach. Harbaugh goes over to their coach. Oh, by the way, we made this flag. This is what we're playing for every year. We obviously get to keep it because we've won 2 years in a row. And the coach is confused and like, well, I have to think about it, coach. Well, San Diego would beat Dayton again the following year before Harbaugh left for Stanford after 3 seasons. So then San Diego lost for the first time in 4 years, and they came over and took the flag and ripped it up. What? And then Bakhtiari said, I think it's in someone's garage now. They never ended up playing for it again. They were so mad. But it was cool, man. He artificially created this trophy game, but it got us all pumped. We were all about that flag.
I'm desperately trying to find a photo of this flag because I want to believe that Jim Harbaugh just like had his wife like take an old quilt and just make this absolute horror show of a flag.
This is kind of what Bob Diaco did at UConn, where he insisted they had a rivalry with Central Florida.
Right,
and
yeah.
they played for the Civil Conflict Trophy. And then I think it was Scott Frost was coaching Central Florida. They won it, and they're like, yeah, we don't care. And they left it on the sidelines. They didn't even take it home with them. They're like, no, this isn't a thing.
Nothing can take the steam out of like a rivalry than one side being
Not
like,
caring.
we're not doing this. That's something Ropp would do as a head coach. That is a 100% Roppenheimer move there. You would be playing your rival for some sort of trophy, and you're like, yeah, whatever. We're not taking that.
And the reporter asked him, what does it feel like to be bringing that trophy back home? Yeah, we left it on the field. We don't care.
What trophy?
What are you talking about? I don't give a rip.
Another one on here is talking about the famous Jim Schwartz game.
Yeah, he slapped him on the back.
Yeah, this says Harbaugh said in a recent interview that he and Schwartz never had any prior issues, but that one started during the game when he felt that Schwartz was insulting him. That was a big game. I guess the Lions were 5-0 that week, and the Niners were 4-1.
Okay.
Week 6. And Lions quarterback Matt Stafford threw a touchdown pass to Brandon Pettigrew in the first quarter, and Harbaugh said it wasn't a legal catch. Well, all touchdowns are reviewed by officials, but Harbaugh threw his challenge flag anyway, and he got an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty for it. And so the touchdown stood, but the Niners were penalized 15 yards. And so Schwartz, I guess, waved his arms to the crowd like, get loud, and apparently he yelled over to Harbaugh, like, know the rules.
Huh.
Which I think is weird that you're yelling from the other sideline and he can hear you.
There's no way.
Yeah, that's what
in
it says.
An NFL stadium?
And so then Harbaugh said, yeah, I took a little offense to that, and that's what the hard handshake was all about.
Wow.
So,
boy,
there's the story behind that.
Something tells me Jim Harbaugh takes everything personally and everything hard. Like you telling me that guy ever lets anything go? I mean, at all? That guy, you imagine being married to that guy, having that guy be your dad or your brother? I mean, good Lord.
I heard stories. I heard his brother John interviewed about it. And the two things that stood out is that he said that like when they go like home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, or whatever, they still play basketball out in the yard.
Oh, yeah.
And Jim like won't leave until someone's bleeding. And then he said the other thing is that him and his brother used to always like wrestle and fight at the beach. And then he said one of these times that they were in their teenage years, he said Jim was holding his head underwater, and for a couple good seconds he thought, oh my God, my brother's going to drown me and kill me right here. And he's like, that's the last time I wrestled Jim.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, pretty competitive.
And yet it works for him. I mean, look at where he's gotten.
So here's the last one. He was with the Niners, and Alex Smith was hurt. And so they said that the team, it was an odd day because before the team went out for practice, they were told that Jim Harbaugh would not be at practice, and no one told him why. But they knew Smith wouldn't be there either because he was hurt. Mm-hmm. So they were like, this is weird. We're practicing without our coach or our quarterback. Like, what the hell's going on? So then as they walked out to the practice field, they saw a player wearing number 4.
Oh, boy.
And they assumed the team had signed a quarterback because of Smith's injury.
I know where this is going.
And when they got closer, they realized that the player was actually Jim Harbaugh. He suited up.
To do what? Scout team?
Yeah, he would have won the scout team.
They said he was clad in 49ers practice gear with throwback ankle-high Apex cleats.
Oh, boy. And
Harbaugh
those
greeted,
were his personal Apex cleats, by the way.
He greeted players as if he said Harbaugh greeted players as if this was standard procedure and went through practice and conditioning with his team.
Like he just picked up his old role as a backup QB at one point late in his career and said, "Yeah, I'm just going to run this like it's a normal thing."
Yep. And one of the players said that made people realize he's one of us. I think all the guys bought into that, and that's what I think made them realize like he is for us, not against us. And dudes really started falling in love with him at that point.
Yeah. Well, you say what you want about him, but the guys that play for him swear by him. They love him. Who's got it better than us?
It's always the
Nobody.
admins and the GMs and the owners that can't handle him. I mean, he wears out his welcome places, but it's not usually because of the players.
No.
All right, we got a break. Joey Harrington is coming up next for story time. Here is Buck with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports Desk, a SportsCenter update on 1080 The Fan.
Ryan Buckley with this SportsCenter update. First on the Fan, the Blazers starting a 3-game road trip tonight with back-to-back games in Memphis. They are up on the Grizzlies early in this one, 15-12 in the first quarter with about 2:45 to play in that first period. Meanwhile, in college hoops, the Oregon men in a must-win situation down in the desert tomorrow. The Ducks needing to beat number 6 Arizona to have any shot at an NCAA tournament at-large bid. Oregon football has announced spring practice dates. They'll have their first 2 practices on March 14th and 16th and take a 17-day break for finals and spring break and continue with practices on April 2nd. More sports scores and stories in 30 minutes. I'm Ryan Buckley at the 1080 The Fan Sports Desk. Listen live or on demand on the Odyssey app, the Fan's desktop player, or tell your smart speaker to play 1080 The Fan.
Daily Boost is the podcast for in-depth analysis on the sports betting landscape. Listen on Odyssey or wherever you get your podcasts. It's time for Who's Leading the Charge? A look under the hood at the coaches, players, and teams getting it done. Brought to you by Battery Exchange.
It was good. It was good. Everybody was, cool, and that's a Gen Z, I guess, kind of word to use. But it was really nice. It was they were mainly testing me on my mental, seeing how.
man, so many directions we can go this week with Joey. First of all, let me just ask you a basic one. How you doing, Joe?
You just called me Joe.
Yeah, Joe.
It was a little awkward, I'm not going to lie.
Joseph. J. Joseph.
No, nobody called. Okay, so here's the story. So I walked into Matt Millen's office the first time, right? And he just drafted me, and, Matt Millen is, hard ass kind of, just gruff and to the point. Yeah. And he sits down, he's like, I sit down, and he's like, all right, I got to get this out of the way. What's with the Joey? I was like, what do you mean, what's with the Joey? He's like, well, there's never been a good quarterback named Joey. It wasn't Joey Montana. It wasn't Joey Namath. He's like, I can't do it. I can't call you Joey. I was like, I don't know. Like, what do you expect me to do? That's my name. And he's like, well, what's your middle name? I was like, Joseph. He said, your name's Joey Joseph? I was like, no, my name is John Joseph. And he looked at me. He's like, John Joseph. I can call you that. All right, John Joseph. And to this day, Matt Millen calls me John Joseph.
Huh.
Cool.
That's what an odd stance for a coach to take. Like,
well, he was the GM.
Well, yeah, the GM, not the coach, but it's a very odd, it's an odd thing. You have something against the name Joey.
I like the name.
He wanted to call me Joe. I was like, you can call me whatever you want, but I'm not a Joe. That's just not me.
Did I read on the social media that you were at the Ducks Beavers game the other night?
I was. Yeah, I was.
How was that?
It was a good tilt.
It was. It's interesting. Two things, two takeaways. One, that is an incredibly athletic Oregon team. Mm-hmm. And it's a shame what some of those injuries have done. I was talking with Casey Jacobson was calling the game, and I was chatting with him afterwards. He's like, there's no reason that Arizona and UCLA and Oregon every single year, they should be making the tournament. But two, this was the first time that I've seen, I'd been back to Matthew Knight in a while. And there were a couple games real early on where it was the newness factor and everybody was showing up. And then, then the attendance kind of fell. And, we're talking years ago. This was all, pre-COVID stuff. I was really happy to see the students showed up. It wasn't like rocking and going crazy, but they were all there. The student section behind the basket was all full. They tarped off a few seats up on the third level, but still, for a Wednesday night, 8 p.m. tip, it was a pretty good showing.
Okay. Well, I haven't ever been there, so.
Well, that's the last.
I don't know.
I mean, I don't know I know football is going to continue. I don't know what the basketball situation was, but in theory, that could be the last Oregon State basketball game ever. I mean, have you seen anything if they're going to keep doing the other sports besides football?
That's a good point.
I hadn't thought about it. I know that they've extended at least for a couple years.
You can play non-con. I mean, they've got.
Yeah, I would assume that because it allows for that sort of thing. But I don't know. Honestly, it popped in my head. I'm like, I don't know if I've seen anything else about any other teams playing besides football.
That's an interesting point.
That place will be rocking when Perdon't comes to town next year. That'd be cool.
Well, I will say you're about to, you can say what you want about football. Basketball is about to get a lot more interesting.
I think that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will be curious to see Oregon playing. Yeah, the Purdue's and the
Michigan, Ohio State,
Indiana, the Illinois. Yeah. See him. God. Where you think Gary Williams is? You think he could, coach Maryland, get them rolling again?
Gary Williams,
dude, that's a blast from the past.
Well, they're in the ACC though, aren't they?
Maryland? No, Maryland's in the Big Ten.
Maryland's in the Big Ten.
Well, they used to be in the ACC.
Yeah, they've been basketball. They joined the Big Ten when Rutgers joined the Big Ten. Hey, you get that hot? What was it? Mike Rice Jr. that was the coach at Rutgers that was hurling slurs and balls at everybody. Wasn't that at Rutgers? Where he got canned because he was caught on tape.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that was Mike Rice Jr., if I'm not mistaken, the Wild Ones kid.
I have a hot take. And you're not gonna like this.
Because
well, you can't I mean, Tinker Hatfield is wonderful. Oregon is wonderful. Everything's wonderful. Everything's great. Peaches, cream, roses, sunshine. However, is it time to change the court?
Somebody said that to me at the game.
The tall furs.
I can't do the court anymore.
You have like a seizure.
I just think they need a new court.
Yeah.
Why?
It's just...
I see where you're going with this, and follow me. You know, sometimes they come out with like a new car, and you're like, oh man, that's futuristic, and it looks very cutting edge. And then in about 4 or 5 years, it doesn't look cutting edge. It just looks bad. And at the time, it was unique, and it was different, and it stood out. And not everything that is cutting edge, it ages well. And I liked the court when it first came out. I thought it was unique and different, but I'm kind of with Rob. I think it's aged like bread, not wine.
Okay.
You don't like it either. I can tell in your voice.
Well, he doesn't want to criticize Tinker.
No.
Yeah, but he doesn't like it.
I think before I speak, unlike some, offensive linemen. So how would you then explain the NBA All-Star Game essentially having a giant Tinker Hatfield drawing on the court in an LED format during the entire thing? Like,
I would make the argument that that's an all-star game in Vegas. It's not a Wednesday night against the Beavs in Eugene.
And it's a one-off.
Yeah.
Look, so you're saying you don't mind the idea of court graphics.
No.
But you think that on a constant basis, that's just too much.
I only watch on TV, and every time I tune in, I'm like,
it's a lot.
It hurts.
It's a lot.
It hurts my rods and cones.
It's time for a redesign. That's all I'm saying.
That's it.
Like,
just redesign
it. You can
switch it up.
You can still do the tall fur thing, but maybe just have it at the ends of the like. It's time for a refresh.
I mean, Lord knows you got money.
Yeah, exactly. Like your guys' uniforms, like Oregon gets a lot of flack for the uniforms, and there's been different variations, but they keep going and it evolves and it gets better. And
right,
it changes. And I think it's time for the court to go by the way of some of the uniforms and put the O on the back of the helmet and do the Omica. It's time to change.
To go from diamond plate to wings.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I could buy that argument.
That's all.
I'm bagging with your moan. I got you.
You can still have it unique. I like that. You can still have it unique. You can still have it be very, Nike, Oregon, Tinker flavor. Just, maybe a little bit of a left here. Let's go down a different path.
All right. Well, we're all in agreement there.
Agreed.
All right. Do you believe in any conspiracy theories?
Ooh.
Specifically related to
any of them.
What?
Now, what I'm getting at here is the combine. All of a sudden, all these guys are whack jobs, and we've got one guy who doesn't believe in space, another guy who's
or planets, by the way.
Well, they're asking these guys all these weird questions. Like it's becoming bits now, where they're all getting up there and like, I don't believe in. So one guy, what was he saying? Like pigeon recharging stations, and he doesn't believe in birds.
I saw that.
Yeah.
What is going on?
Like the power lines are like the pigeon recharging stations because you never actually see baby pigeons.
Right. And the answer to that is very simple, and that is that baby pigeons don't leave the nest until they're adults. So that's why you don't see baby pigeons.
People don't want easy answers.
God.
People want wacko, out-of-the-box thinking.
Were players this crazy when you were at the combine?
Well, it's just different crazy.
Oh.
It's like waking up at like 2 a.m. to swap your pee kind of crazy. Like that's the crazy that we dealt with, not like I don't actually believe in the solar system crazy. Like those are two different kinds of crazy.
Yeah.
It's a valid point. You can have lots of crazy.
What, swapping pee is a valid point?
Well, that too. I mean, I'm just saying, like, there's varying forms of crazy, and I'm with you. I played with my fair share of crazy and idiots, but I don't know if I ever had anyone that said that birds weren't real or that he didn't believe in planets. That's a bold statement.
I'm trying to think of the most off kilter, like. Give me until the next. I'm going to think through the commercial break once we get there about like the weirdest conspiracy theory that I ran across in the league.
It wasn't a conspiracy theory, but I do remember when I was at the combine. I believe it was Albert Hainsworth, the Tennessee defensive tackle, and we were sitting down doing one of like the aptitude tests, and it was a bunch of questions. It was like 100+ questions, and it was for the Giants.
No, there were not 100. There were 500.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It was a 500 question
Right?
psychological evaluation.
Yeah.
One of the questions being, do you enjoy beating animals? I will never forget that.
Oh, God.
Right?
Do you get pleasure from beating animals?
I guess there are probably some guys that are like, hell yeah.
Who answers that, though? I mean, even if you do enjoy beating animals,
No, I think there are guys that...
enthusiastic, yes.
Well, you remember the Mike Vick thing? Like,
Yeah.
Mike Vick didn't even understand that was wrong.
I would assume, though, that you don't put that on the test. You lie about that, but...
Well, no, I don't think they understand. They're like, yeah, I beat my dog all the time.
Go. But it was Albert Hainsworth, and we're in the middle of that, not even in the middle of it, like a few minutes in, and I was like... I just remember it being a slog, being like, what the hell is this thing? And Albert stands up, and there's like 15 of us taking this thing in the little Giants thing. Remember they gave you like a sweatshirt or whatever? They gave you like a swag. And I was like, I guess we're here. And Albert Ainsworth stands up and goes, wait a minute. Where the F are you guys drafting? And the Giants guy's like, I don't know, like 18? And he goes, man, F your test. I'm going to be here anyways. Crumples it up, throws it in the trash, and it's like, F you, I'm out of here, and just starts walking out. And I was like, holy crap, you can do that? And I thought like they were going to yell and whatever. They're like, no, Albert, here, they gave him a bunch of Giant swag. They gave him like all this stuff. And Haynes was like, yeah, whatever. He took it and just walked out. And I was like, that guy's my hero. And then I sat down and completed the questions because shut up and take the test. But I'll never forget that. Wait, when you mother effers drafting? 18, I'm not going to be there. F you.
They would not draft you if you didn't take that personality test.
Well, Albert didn't care.
Yeah.
And I think he did. I think he went like 12. No, he was a terrifying individual.
So Roma Dunze was asked if he could land a plane in an emergency. Oh. And rather refreshingly, he said, no chance. All souls perish.
I like that.
Could you land a plane in an emergency?
No, I mean, no.
You sure?
I'm trying to think, like, why would somebody think, I mean, you got the sticks, you got your little, your steering wheel thing. I mean, sure, could you steer it? Like, I have, okay. So, another story. So we were on, this was after I was already done playing college football, and that was when it was during the NCAA basketball tournament. And Oregon was playing the Sweet 16 in Wisconsin in Madison.
Okay.
And that was when I was doing we'd started the pit crew and wearing wigs and all sorts of fun stuff to the games. So I'm full. There was a seat on a jet going back, and some alums, asked like, you want to fly back with us? And I was like, yeah, sure. I just have to be back at a certain time, if I got something going. And they're like, yeah, no problem. The jet is flying back, and so it can just take you back to Eugene. I was like, that's how this works? Like, okay, cool. So I flew with these people over to the game. We beat Texas, and then ended up to advance to play Kansas in the next round. So I'm flying back. It's just me and the pilots. And I'm just kind of sitting there, twiddling my thumbs, like, holy cow, like, what the hell is going on? Like, it's just me on this airplane. And so I kind of walk up to the cockpit. I was like, hey guys, what's going on? You want to talk to me? Like, hey, can we talk? Like, we're an hour and a half into this thing and I'm bored out of my mind. And he's like, yeah, we start chatting. And I was like, yeah, man, I've been really curious about flying a plane. And I'd love to get my pilot's license. He was like, oh, cool, sit down. I was like, sit down where? He's like, as he's standing up, is the co-pilot. And he's like, stands up out of it. He's like, yeah, sit down. I was like, in the cockpit? Yeah, okay. So I, weasel my way in there. And he's like, oh yeah, it's all on autopilot anyway. So, the main pilot is sitting there. And so I'm, kind of weasel my way in and I'm looking at all these dials and it's like, your tilt and your angle and your all sorts of things and dials are spinning and numbers flashing. And the guy says, okay, now grab the sticks, and on your right thumb, you push that button and it'll take you off of autopilot. And I kind of looked over. I was like, we're at 42,000 feet. And so button click. I was like, all right. And sure enough, like the nose starts to fall down, and I'm like pointing down. I was like, oh, look, there's Billings, Montana. I was like, all right, now let's pull it back up, and okay, good. And now let's turn to the left. And so I'm like steering this thing like up and down and left and right. And they said, now if you take your thumb off the button, it'll just and so I took the thumb off the button, and it just like right back onto onto the whatever program they had it tracked on. So I could tilt the plane in the proper direction, but all those other things, like how the hell would you stop? Like
I think
I
that's
don't know.
the biggest part, honestly, is the stopping. Flying's easy. Stopping?
Yeah, like
well,
it's
hit
like
the brake.
It's like driving a car. Just like
Yeah,
twist to the right and twist to the
pull
left.
pull the e-brake.
Yeah, and up and down. Like the other thing too is you don't tilt your car's nose down to the ground, right? That's the other directional thing. But like once you hit the ground, how do you stop?
Well, maybe you slide off the runway and
yeah, I don't know how that works.
You
I
know.
think you just slow down and then roll out of the plane. Try to shoulder roll, bail on it.
well, maybe somebody talks you through
the
it.
river. You just fly into Portland,
you go.
and then you just like hit the runway, and then you just coast and make sure like your nose is up a little bit. So you pull a Captain. What's the
Sully.
What's the Yes,
Yeah.
you
Sully
pull a Sully and
Sullenberger.
you
Sully.
drop it into the Columbia River, and that's how everybody survives. So yes, I could land a plane and survive. Have the passenger survive.
Yeah, you could do it. I know it. I believe in you. You're the type. You're the Sully Sullenberger heroic type. All right, think about that question about the strangest conspiracy theory from when you played, but also want to get your opinion on the 12-team, now suddenly a 14-team, soon-to-be 16-team playoff with all Big Ten and SEC teams. Next, with our friend Joey Harrington here on 1080 The Fan.
It's time for a Ducks Report, the inside story on Oregon athletics.
strangest conspiracy theory that guys were talking about when you played? Because I feel like it's gotten weirder over the years.
No, I couldn't. I tried.
Yeah, they're getting weirder, man. It's just this pigeon thing is like, what?
Again, the more information that's out there, you think it makes you smarter. It doesn't. It makes you dumber. Because now you can, whatever stupid idea you've ever conjured up, someone has written a 10-page article or put out a YouTube video that is like, well, it's like the one dude that was like, that talked about the flat earth. He's like, well, I saw something about flat earth and it made sense to me. And, you know, people are very, they're easily persuaded. And there's so much information out there that we're persuaded to dumber and dumber things.
I can't think of anything.
So you don't believe in any conspiracy theories at all?
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Like, what would be considered a conspiracy theory that I might believe in?
Well, like JFK is the,
JFK, the moon
lone
landing, lone shooter.
One shooter? Or how many people,
Well, vaccines are a big one right now for people.
Did you get the jab? Did you get the jab, Joey?
Actually, just a couple days ago, I got my update. Yeah.
Nah, that's 5G, dude.
They're tracking you right now.
All right.
Anyway, let's move on.
Yeah, the 14-team. Well, it's a 12-team playoff, but now they've already turned it into a 14-team playoff in 2 years. Only one.
Has that been confirmed?
No, but it's going to happen because the Big Ten and the SEC want it.
Yeah.
I mean, they have all the leverage. So here's my only question: do you think we ever get to a place where college football's postseason is just settled and it stays in place like the NCAA tournament?
But the NCAA tournament isn't staying in place.
Well, but you know what I mean. Like, it's a great postseason, and I know they've tweaked it, but it's, the format is what it is. It's been that way for years, and we love it. Do we ever get that with college football, or is it just going to keep changing until we die in a plane crash?
That I was flying.
That you were... that you tried to set us down on the Columbia and it failed.
You're no Sully Sullenberger.
Here's what I think has to happen first is you have to somehow have an established set of rules for college football. Right? That's the issue. Why do they keep changing it? Because the money's there. Why do they, and the TV contracts and the conference realignment and now 12 to 14, like you said, is because the Big Ten and the SEC want more teams. Why do they want more teams? Because they get more money. Like it's all screwed up. So like we've talked about, until you have some sort of rules for NIL and transfer portal and conference realignment and, what this whole thing looks like, you're not going to be able to have a consistent postseason anything. Yeah. I think we will at some point end up with an NFL type postseason, in the same way that we're going to end up with an NFL type. College football is essentially just going to be minor league football. But they have to establish that before you can commit to a playoff format.
I don't know if you've seen this today. You probably haven't. It came out just a little bit ago, but the NCAA gave up on the NIL. They said that in response to the Tennessee lawsuit, was it Tennessee and Virginia, the NCAA said officially moving forward, all investigations into NIL third party will be paused and no new ones will begin. They quit. So now any NIL is basically, it's Thunderdome. It's a free-for-all. The NCAA laid down today and said we can enforce it and said something like, this is why, the NCAA has to come up with something in a boardroom. It can't, they're admitting that they will lose in court. So that was, you basically can do whatever you want. Pay for play, incentives, all that stuff that was originally not supposed to be part of NIL. All of that stuff now is legal because no one can enforce it.
Here's the thing that So explain to me what is behind this Tennessee lawsuit. Like, I thought there was. Well, I'll leave it at that. Go ahead.
So the Tennessee lawsuit was, they said that Tennessee, they had broken the NIL rules, and that they were, the third party people were getting involved with the university, and they were basically doing pay for play, which everyone's been doing. Like, hey, if you come here, we're giving you XYZ. And a lot of it was around that Nico, the quarterback kid that supposedly got $7 million, and it was broken up into each year, and there were incentives. And so they said this is not what NIL is, and they were investigating Tennessee, and Tennessee said, screw you. This is what everyone's doing. You have no right to enforce this. They sued the NCAA to basically say they can do what they want, and the judge put an injunction on it, and the NCAA just basically folded and said, you're right. We can investigate this. So there's no more investigation into Tennessee, and we're not starting any new ones. So basically, if you're a collective now, there's nothing stopping you from working with the university. There's nothing stopping you from doing pay for play. There's nothing stopping you from buying kids to go to campus. There's nothing stopping you from putting incentive laden basically contracts in front of kids. There's nothing. I mean, this was kind of the NCAA got their ass kicked.
Okay, which I'm fine with. What I want to make sure happens, though, going forward, is that these kids, and I will say kids, because they're still 17, just turning 18 when this starts to happen, that they're protected, right? Because how many,
Go ahead.
How many kids I was just trying to think of, are promised something.
Yeah.
Here's, if you come here, here's what you're going to get. And they show up and they either don't perform and they're, or whatever the reason, they don't get what they have been promised.
Yeah, it happens. Right? It's already happening in Florida and Miami. Remember, that was a whole thing.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. So whether it's capping or, getting everybody on the same level playing field, salary cap, however it works. And on the flip side is making sure that what is promised is delivered. There needs to be some sort of, like that. That's why I said this is going to be, it's just going to be minor league football. That's all it's going to be, is you're going to be able to make money, the moment you leave high school. So, yeah, good that they lost. Maybe it forces them to get some sort of financial structure in place, as opposed to trying to hang on to what used to be or fix what used to exist.
And they did say that in one of the statements. One of the NCAA's attorneys, I'd have to look it up. He did say something along the line of, this is why rules need to be made in an NCAA boardroom and not a courtroom. Basically saying they can't win in a court of law at this point.
Right. Nor should they.
So now all the teams join the Big Ten and the SEC, and it's
going to be moot. I mean, I don't know how you end up doing it. I mean, it's AFC, NFC, it's Big Ten, SEC. I don't know however you decide to do it. It doesn't matter to me at this point. It literally is so the rivalries are gone, the conferences are gone, the regions are gone, all the stuff that made college football what it once was, it's all gone, right? So adapt, figure it out, let's move on.
This is from one of the NCAA board of directors. Tell me if this is not just the most capitulating statement of all time. I realize pausing NIL-related enforcement while these other bylaws are upheld by the injunction will raise significant questions on campuses. This is precisely why D1 meeting rooms, not a courtroom, is the best place to change NCAA policies. This is the only practical response to the injunction and lawsuit at this time. We hope attorneys will work with us to clarify the next steps. I mean, they are just saying, we just got our asses handed to us and there is nothing we can do.
Stupid.
I mean, it's kind of crazy that a bunch of rich boosters from Tennessee, the NCAA said, we're investigating you. And they said, no, you're not. I mean,
well, if it wasn't them, it would have been someone else.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Michigan tried, and Michigan went, we keep seeing schools kind of threatening to do this. And Tennessee finally was like, no, we'll just sue you. And they got the attorney general on board. The entire state sued.
Did you dump your DeBella Timbers jersey? I know you're a big Timbers guy. You got to dump it now.
I didn't have a jersey.
Oh, all right, good deal.
I'm not a jersey guy.
Me neither.
You a scarf guy?
Oh, I'm a scarf guy.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you better believe it.
I'll see you there. I'll see you there on Saturday.
Ooh, I'll be there Saturday. I will.
All right, my friend. You have a wonderful weekend.
I will. You have a wonderful weekend too.
Will do. Love you, buddy. Bye.
Over out.
Joey Harrington brought to you by Max PDX. The future of building is here. The club is next on The Fan. Hey, it's Isaac Ropp. March is a critical time to check your home He refuses.
Just holding on, huh?
Sad. It's a sad state of affairs around here. Although we got Odyssey Bucks today.
An Odyssey station.
Oh, yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm riding high, man.
And hey, there's big Bella news.
I got 30 Odyssey Bucks burning a hole in my pocket. Like 120 more Odyssey Bucks and a clear fanny pack is all mine.
What?
Yeah. Fanny packs are all the rage now, man. Hulk Hogan was onto something in 1984.
Yeah, so today is Employee Appreciation Day, and so our boss, our big, hefty boss, Philly boss, sent out a, hey, we appreciate all of you. You know, he kind of has to.
Yeah. Well, it kind of goes without
His
saying,
secretary
right?
probably wrote it.
Form letter.
Anyway, we all got awarded with 30 Odyssey Bucks.
Yeah, that's right.
Here at Odyssey.
And there's an Odyssey store that you can buy stuff at.
Yeah.
And
It has exactly 12 things in it.
And Buck went there and took a look at what we can buy.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, again, I'd like to get my hands on that clear fanny pack, but
at least by price, the most coveted item in the collection.
who would have thought that the clear fanny pack would be the most sought after item? Although when you go to concerts now and stuff, a lot of times that's the only thing you can bring in
That's
there.
true. That's probably why it's so important.
Yeah. I got a little. I don't have a fanny pack, but I got like a little like shoulder satchel for like when I travel, like when you're international. I got one of those. Like you got a little place for your passport and wallet, headphones and all that. I couldn't bring myself to go full fanny pack.
Full panty pack.
Full panties.
Well, you get some panties in there. Don't worry about those. I keep some extra ones in case I soil on.
red panties.
You know. And I have comfort versus sport mode. Sport mode, you swing it around to the back so you can run. In comfort mode, you just put it in front where all your snacks are right there and your panties.
That sounds really stupid.
It really is, but when I was going around Japan, I had it. I keep trying to bring it, like I brought it to New Orleans, and I never used it.
Well, we're burying the lead here.
We are?
Yeah.
What's the lead?
105.1 The Buzz is now Bella.
Yeah, I thought Charlie was Bella, but then I was mistaken. It's the Buzz.
We had big news here at Odyssey today.
And I was asking the question, what's the difference now? And no one can seem to tell me what the change was other than it's just called Bella.
We had a big rebrand of one of our stations.
Yeah. It'd be like if we were no longer 1080 The Fan, we were 1080 The Score.
Yeah, they changed it to Bella, so they said it's Charlie's little sister. Or maybe big sister. I don't know.
That bitch.
Charlie and Bella.
Wait, Charlie's okay.
Their stations are now named like kids.
Yeah.
Charlie and Bella.
Yeah, well.
And then they play really rad, cool, dope music.
But I think they played the same music that they were playing before.
I think that's accurate.
I don't think anything changed
No,
other
it's
than
a little different.
How so? I think it's just Bella now.
All three of us have the press release in our email.
Yeah, and it said, what was the best line in there? The best line in there was something about our new friend is here or something.
Yeah. Like when I saw the email, I thought we hired like a promotions person or we hired like a new DJ.
When it said "Welcome Bella," I thought that one of our staff had a baby and they named her Bella.
Yeah, me too. Or somebody named Bella was hired, and so I clicked right beyond it. Little do I know, it's a huge power move by Odyssey in the marketplace.
Yeah, it's a rebrand. Yeah, because I saw like congratulations, welcome Bella, and so I was like, what?
Hope she's hot.
I didn't realize, to be honest with you, I didn't realize what they were doing until we got to I got here.
Yeah, and you didn't even know that. You thought it was Charlie.
I did. I thought
Come
it was
on, man.
I thought it was Charlie.
Come on. This is big news.
Yeah, well, it's the launch of Bella 105.
So it's like Charlie, only it plays music that's later. Because Charlie plays like 80s and stuff.
Yeah, it says the station previously known as The Buzz will continue to provide favorites from today's biggest pop artists and then it goes on to list them.
That's right, but they're not going to play like all the newest stuff. You know.
No? All right, well, I don't know. I just know that it's Bella. It's a big deal, and I'm excited. I'm excited.
And what's
Good
the
thing
line?
It's not Dub
Give me the
Bella,
line.
though.
What's the line from your best friend is here or something?
I just had it.
Making friends as an adult just got a whole lot easier. Your new bestie has arrived, and she can't wait to share her favorite music songs.
Yes,
and
what a great line.
Your new bestie.
Jamie put that in there. That's smart.
I've been looking for a new bestie lately.
Well,
she's
cutting, here.
Mine aren't cutting it anymore.
Well, that's one punch you in the eye.
Although, that's true. Although I don't think my lady would like me having a female bestie. Would your wife care if you developed a new best friend and it turned out, let's say you were playing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, right? I don't know how that would go, if that would go over. I got to go home and tell my my
that
sugar
wouldn't-
teas, hey, by the way, I got a new best friend. She's like, oh, I'm excited for you. And her name's Bella. I think I'm going to end up with another black eye.
She's coming over to watch the game.
That's the theme on the new season of Love is Blind. There's a guy goes out, he introduces a new fiance to his friends, and she's like, these are your friends? It's like, oh yeah, I used to date that girl and I slept with her once too. Fiance didn't love that.
Now, here's the thing. What if you said you were like you got a new friend, you met him on the golf course. Their name was Charlie. And maybe Pat, Chris.
Okay. All right.
And everything, and then like, oh, by the way, I don't even see gender, but yeah, she's a gal, and your wife's all mad, but then she sees her, and it's like me with a wig on. Is she okay with it then?
You're saying she's
6'3", 255, lot of tats, just big old thick gal, but she's just got long hair, and her name is Chris. And she's you like playing golf with her?
Probably makes it easier,
right?
Well, I mean, I do have a woman that I golf with sometimes at Langdon, Dana, who's wonderful, and my wife has met her, and they've hit it off. Like they're buddies.
It's fine. All right.
Yeah, she's great.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I think my allowance to have a female best friend would be directly coordinated or directly what would you say, commiserate with how hot she was. Dependent on what my lady thought. I think there's a sliding scale, and I'm going to say anything above a 4, I'm going to get a black eye, and we'll be told to go to hell.
On your other eye.
Yeah, my other eye. I think a 3.5 and below, I think she's like, she's go for it. Possibly 3 and below.
Yeah, she's laughing at you. She's like, dude, what?
But you show up.
This is Bella.
You show up with an 8.5 named Bella, and you're like, "This is my new golfing partner."
Yeah, you can't do that.
Nah, you can't.
All right.
And by the way,
we got a break.
I'm not sure if anything goes for if your gal came home with a new best friend that was a dude. If she came home with Hank, it's weird. It's weird.
Hank. Is Hank handsome?
Well, if Hank's handsome, immediately you know what's up. But let's say even if Hank isn't handsome, because you know that your wife may not be interested in Hank, but Hank sure as hell is interested in your wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what are you asking?
Well, let's say she's spending a lot of time with Hank. They're going out. They're seeing shows together. It's the equivalent of you having a golf buddy. What are your thoughts on Hank, the new best friend? Because men have long embraced your lady having the gay best friend. No, Hank is straight. Hank's just not very Hank's not very attractive.
Go for it.
You're fine.
Whatever.
That's where but you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I am thinking about it.
Let's say Hank let's say Hank's a 6.
Do what you need to do.
8.5.
Can he come over?
You're a little intimidated then. 8.5, and he's got some dough too.
Oh, then I want in on that dough.
You're like, let's talk to Hank here. What sort of business opportunities we got here?
Right. All right, we got a break. Reclining your chair on a plane. Very controversial now. We'll get to that next on The Fan.
buddy.
Let's tune into Bella. Can you pull up Bella?
They were
Oh,
on
I probably can, but I don't know if I know how to.
They were on in the break room and they were playing "Hit Me One More Time."
Oh,
yeah.
Is that Brit?
That's Brit. In fact, I think that's the first Brit. The schoolgirl outfit Brit.
Yeah, now wait a second. I thought for Rob, Brit now was Brit Mahomes.
Well, it is. Well,
Yeah.
but you know who.
That's the second. We know who Brit
you know
is.
who I'm
I don't
talking
think Brittany Mahomes is playing on Bella.
No, she's not.
I don't even know, by the way, if Britney Spears was legal when that video came out, but that caused some uncomfortable things for a lot of older men.
Do you think that the person who started radio stations being names thinks he's really cool?
Probably, yes.
Like Jack, Jack FM, Charlie, Bella.
Yeah, I would assume that you probably think that's pretty cool. I mean, because back in the day, it was just like 105, but now you got to have a catchy name.
Yeah, you got to have a name.
Except they're not really that catchy. Like every sports station is like the Score or the Ticket or the Fan.
Well, but maybe they will start to jump into the name game. You know?
What? Like we're gonna be
like Dick Radio. What?
1080 the 1080. I don't even know if I can say that.
Well, it's a name.
1080 the Richard.
Yeah.
I tune in. What sort of radio station is this? What is happening right now? I bought the cock and then I released it.
Oh dear.
Oh, for God's sake!
You can't play that.
We're talking about roosters.
That is true. We were talking about that.
That drop is specifically a rooster drop.
It is. That was that was my amateur career as a cockfighter that did not go so well. There is a drop for everything. And like every country station's either the eagle or the bull or the ram. It's got to be something manly.
Maybe we'll be Sean.
What?
Sean Radio.
1080 the Sean?
Well, it doesn't have to have. Well, I guess Charlie. I was gonna say it has to have 4 letters, but it really doesn't.
Yeah, we're the fan. That's.
Yeah, but if we're a name, if they change us to a name, you know, because Jack Radio, Charlie, and Bella. Yeah. Do you follow?
I see where you're going with that.
Sean.
1080 the Jock.
The Jock.
Some sports station out there should be the Jock.
Someone probably is, right?
And the logo indeed should be that old school bike jock strap that we all had to wear, like that off-white yellow color, and then it had like a red and blue stripe on the waistband. That one, someone should absolutely be, 1620 the Jock. Tune into the Jock. And then like some caller goes by the Beast. This is John the Beast from Riverfall calling in. Got to talk about what's going on. Boy, the heydays of calling into like pregame shows. Those were good times. Steven Scapoose got to call in and be really pissed about something.
We've come a long way.
We've come a long way.
Wait, did you guys already say who directed the Baby One More Time video?
No.
Nigel Dick.
Really?
That's his name.
Nigel Dick.
Apropos of our conversation.
So Nigel Dick was a pedophile at the time?
I guess so, because I looked it up and she was not 18 when they made that.
So they just took like a 16-year-old and put her in the world's sluttiest outfit and we're like, this is going to be fine.
Hey, she was at school and in a schoolgirl's outfit. That's what they were doing.
I knew someone that would like, it was really uncomfortable. And there's some other things that have come to light since then that are mildly uncomfortable about this person as well. But they used to do like the countdown till someone got legal. And that just...
Ew.
Yeah, that was always.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing on internet.
That's the thing. But here's some. Like, even if you are, I don't know. I don't know who's the young teenage whatever now. But if that's your thing, just keep it to yourself. Like,
a couple guys in the Bay Area got fired for talking about that on sports radio.
Did they?
They were talking about like a female snowboarder in the Olympics who was like 17, and they were like, "Well, close enough, right?"
Oh yeah,
like,
I remember that. Yeah, they were talking whether or not she had.
Yep.
Things. Yeah, that I remember that. Just. You can, if you're going to be a young petty perv, just you keep that one close to your chest. You don't have to put that out there. And he was very open about it, and I found it just very.
It was almost like braggy how into it he was. It was very weird.
Yeah, and I'm not many things make me uncomfortable, but that was always one of those. Hey, Brick, why don't you sit these next couple plays out? Take a breather or two. We don't need to know that. We don't need to know that you're waiting for the Olsen twins to turn 18. And it was like the who was the Catch Me Outside girl, right? Catch Me Outside. How about that? Whatever her horse crap name
Ain't
is.
nobody got time for
She's
that.
like Bad Barbie or something now, whatever she goes by. Like she turned 18, joined OnlyFans, and like made $10 million, which means there were thousands of dirty pedos out there that were like, come on, just be 18, just be 18. And the day she turned 18, they're like, take my money. Like that, it's just...
Merry Christmas, bitch.
Why? Why, people? Why?
There are some suggestions for our station name coming in on the text line.
Green pie? Karen 101?
Dude, 101 the Karen would be wonderful. And just play a lot of progressive alt rock. Oh yeah. Kids, I'm listening to Kids Bop.
Why don't we call our station Raw Dog?
I'm guessing someone out there.
Because it's raw.
Someone out there
dog.
is probably already Raw Dog. That wouldn't shock me. What were we going to talk about there? I don't even know what just happened. I think I blacked out.
I want to talk about reclining your seat on an airplane, but I'm trying to find a list of radio stations named after people in the United States.
Oh.
Because it's been kind of a recent phenomenon where we have Jack FM. I think that's in Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Charlie came to be here.
Mm-hmm.
And now Bella. I'm just wondering
What
how
else is
many
out
more
there?
are out there. And when it's going to hit sports.
I don't know. Yeah, I think the sports ones are all just team related, or again, ticket, game, score, all that stuff. I'll see if I can do like the most obscure sports radio station in the country.
Anyway, do you recline your seat on an airplane? I do not, but I used to.
I told you, mine is it's a situational.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that next because somebody has gone viral over this, and it has divided the world. But first, Buck with SportsCenter.
Now, from the Fan Sports
by far, it's not even close. There's more the fans than anything else. They're everywhere.
I was thinking the score would be very high up there as well.
Yeah, there's plenty of scores. There's plenty of tickets. There's plenty of just like Arizona sports. It's just something as generic as sports. But the fan, like in the top 30, I'm counting 14 of them here are the fan in some way. The fan, the ticket, and score.
Well, maybe we need to change our name.
Well, we're not standing out. The Sports Hub is number 1. That's in Boston. But then New York has the fan. Philly has the fan. Dallas has the ticket. Chicago, the score. There's another ticket in Detroit. Now we're back to the fan. Another fan. KMBR is just KMBR. They're the sports leader.
The sports leader.
Yeah. Now we got another fan in D.C. And then we got another in San Francisco. We've got the game and the fan. Denver is the fan. New York is then it's just a plain one, normal. Chicago's got the fan. Philadelphia changing up a little bit, the fanatic. I mean, can we be more generic?
I know, right?
Yeah. Atlanta's got the game. I mean, come on.
I think the Jock has legs.
Yeah. 1080 to the Jock. Now Tampa Bay has the Wade. So I don't. That's kind of fun.
What's that? Wait, what?
Wade? Are we going like a Dwayne Wade thing? Florida, maybe? I don't know.
Or I was thinking like wading out into the ocean. But...
It's like the only unique one in the entire top 30.
Well, at least they're trying.
They're trying.
It doesn't make sense, but they're trying.
Yeah, I like the Jock. 1080 to the Jock. Let's go rebrand.
1080 the Jock.
That's right. That's right.
Hop on this Jock.
Get on it. You want to ride this Jock? Let's go. Just a lot of fans.
It's got legs.
A lot
All right,
of fans.
here's the story. A video about a woman on a plane who allegedly shoved another passenger's seat forward has gone viral on the TalkTick.
I've done this before.
Shoved them?
Yeah. Not really a shove, more of a push back.
Wow.
Yeah.
The clip was shared in a post and has had 2.8 million views since it was shared on February 16th. The footage shows a woman sitting on a plane and looking at the camera. A message overlaid on the screen says, "Y'all, this girl just shoved my seat forward and said I'm not allowed to recline for my 10-hour flight because it's too much for her. What do I do?"
Yeah. I mean, I do think there's some wiggle room here. And by the way, that's a long ass flight.
If you 10-hour flight, you should be able to recline, right?
I would think so.
I mean, if you recline, it's like, I get it.
Now, to be fair, can we all admit that the reclining, you're literally talking about like 1 to 2 inches? Like, it'd be one thing if you're reclining like all the way into my lap, but
yeah, it doesn't go that far.
It doesn't go that far.
But it is annoying.
Yes, it is.
And it never used to be. I don't know why. I don't know where.
I just think seats have gotten smaller.
Where that changed. In a June 2023 study conducted on behalf of the travel booking website Kayak, which asked 1,000 adults in the U.S. and Canada about how you should behave when flying, those surveyed said you are allowed to recline your seat because 88% of travelers think the button is there for a reason.
Yeah, and look, there's a valid point there. The time that I was involved, and I think it's maybe happened 2 or 3 times, is when someone reclines and then does like the big rock, you know, I won't do it the first time. But if you continue to rock your seat into my lap, and being a bigger guy, it is indeed goes into my lap, I will let the person know that someone is back there. And I don't necessarily say that I hit it or push it, but I will put my hand on the back of the seat and apply the same amount of pressure that they're going forward, just to let someone know. And I've never had a problem. That usually stops the rocking. It's just one of those, hey, there's someone back here. You know, it'd be the same thing, I guess, if I tapped on the shoulder and said, hey, could you not do that? But I have asked people in the past, like when I'm reclining, I will look behind me and see who's there. And if there is someone my size or bigger, I will not recline. Because I know that for them, their knees are already up against it. And for me, that 2 to 3 inches of comfort is not worth putting someone else through to 2 to 3 inches of comfort. But if it's someone small, it's someone with ample room or a child, yeah, I'll take that 2 to 3 inches and recline.
You know, how I view it now is I just don't care to recline because I don't get anything out of it.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
There's
change
not a lot of comfort.
Yeah, it's like I get it, it's there, but I would only be doing it just because it's there.
Yeah.
Like I don't really. It doesn't change much of anything, and if it inconveniences the person behind me, I'll just stay as is.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's how I view it now.
And I just think it's a situational thing. More people need to have situational awareness. You know, and I understand that I watched that video of that TikTok gal, and this is the other one that I'd like to point out. There's so many of these TikTok losers and YouTube and social media creators that they want a conflict so that they can film it. Like that was probably the greatest thing that ever happened to that dumb girl, because then she could film it, and we don't even know if they. Like, I always take these things as kind of skeptical. Really, did that lady shove your seat and then be like, you can't recline? Or was it like me where someone put the hand on the seat and maybe said, hey, can you be careful? I'm back here. And then that person made a TikTok out of it and was like, what do you think? And wanted to go viral. Most people I found in situations, as long as you stay calm and you're respectful, you can usually come to some sort of middle ground. Like if I tapped someone on the shoulder and said, I'm really sorry, but like my knees are right up against the seat. Is there any way that you couldn't recline? I think the vast majority of people, even if they want to recline, would then be inclined to say, oh,
Yeah, they'd help you out. They'd be
yes.
like, yeah, no problem.
Yes.
I got you.
Yeah. But it's the person that if you just go willy-nilly and you start drilling the back of someone's seat.
Well, I think, I don't know, is there a conversation there where there is an etiquette to reclining now? In other words,
I think there is.
Do you look back? Do you ask?
Yes.
Do you say, hey, do you mind if I recline my seat?
I think you're onto it. There's absolutely an etiquette now to it that there didn't used to be because of the size.
There just didn't used to be.
Because of the size of people and because of the size of the space.
Because now, when somebody in front of you reclines, I'm immediately disgusted. I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah.
It doesn't, I don't know. I'm not that big of a dude, so it doesn't.
But you see, we're all in there pretty tight. I mean, it's a tight squeeze. And I think that's the difference is we've all been crammed in. And I think when you're in, the tighter the space, the more confined quarters you should have. This goes for elevators. This goes for like concerts. Anything where you're in a small confined area, you should be considerate with other people. In fact, I do this in my row. I apologize before a flight even takes off. And I'll just be like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I don't mean to spill over into your seat. And I'll be like, if I do, please let me know. And I just like, I don't fit well in these seats, but I will try to keep my legs from coming over. I'll try to keep my arm off your armrest. But I do a preemptive, I'm sorry. And most people are very, very friendly about it. And they're like, oh, don't worry. It's okay. But I want those people to know that I am understanding that we're on this journey together. I don't want to be in 29B either, as much as you don't want me in 29B.
I'm sorry.
But we're stuck together, so let's make the best of it. And I think that's the problem is, one, people are selfish, and two, people don't communicate.
Do first class seats recline?
Yeah.
Some of them all the way.
Some of them all the way.
Like to flat.
Yeah. But no one's.
Then I can just lay in the lap of the person behind me.
No, they have a whole. It's
have a conversation with them.
It's just.
Hi, what's your name?
It's
looking
nice
up
there.
Looking up at them.
Well,
longingly.
Because I met my gal in New Orleans last week, and she was on a business trip, and her boss, they flew first class, and so we flew back together on the same flight. They were in first class. Me, no, 29B.
Yeah,
back
you told us that.
Back there rubbing elbows with the people.
On Tuesday.
Yeah.
It's a little embarrassing for you.
It was. And then the best part was, so I'm in there was like 33 rows. I'm in 29. And I literally got a text. And by the way, it was not an ironic, like, ha-ha sort of thing. She was being serious. My lady texts me and is like, are you still on the plane? And I'm like, yes. She goes, oh, what's taking you? They were annoyed with how long it was taking me to get off the plane. And I was like, are you effing kidding me right now?
Back there with the peasants.
What would you like me to do? Like, I just couldn't believe that was a real thing. They were both put out.
Sounds like they're offering to bump you up to first class next time.
Yeah, exactly.
What are we doing?
I will say, it is shocking when you're waiting for someone from the very back of the plane.
Yeah.
It is shocking how long it takes. It is.
Yeah, well.
Like it's like, oh my God, there's more people, and then you think it's over. You're like, okay, that's the end of it, and then 50 more people come out.
It's funny you say that because they were like, there were 2 breaks where they were concerned that they had missed me, that I had gotten off the plane, and I'm like, really, you missed me coming out of the airplane? And they're like, where there were big breaks, and I'm like, yeah, that happens.
Yeah, because you get behind some old lady,
yes,
or something. Somebody holds it up.
Yeah, it's not a good process getting off an airplane. And I was in the back, and then I got off, and I was like, you really sending me those texts? And she was like, oh. Like, it didn't dawn on her that was kind of a D move. When you're sitting in 2A and someone's in 29B, you shouldn't send them why's taking you so long to get off the airplane. But yeah, like, when you're in first class, you can be as selfish as you want. When you're in the back rubbing elbows with the stinkers, you got to be part of the community. And I do think that reclining your seat, bathroom etiquette, all of those things. If you're bringing other food on the airplane, all of these things. You can't just break out like a vat of like pickled fish and be like, oh, don't mind me. Like,
That one guy brought a fillet of fish with maggots. Remember, they fell out of the overhead bin.
No kidding. It's just we gotta be better than this. We do.
I agree.
So before you recline, assess the situation and see if because this is the problem. Be like, well, I have my right to recline. Yes, you do.
Of course.
But just because you can do something doesn't mean that you should.
Right.
How about that?
What are you getting out of it?
You're getting an extra 2 inches, and you're making the flight to the next person that much worse.
That's what she said. All right, we'll be back to wrap it up next on The Fan.
Thanks to everyone who came out to X Golf Vancouver and X Golf Tualatin for the Fan.
Okay.
Got them right where we want them.
You can get Memphis on the money line right now at plus 2,500.
The Blazers can't blow Memphis, can they?
Oh, they can.
Oh, 100%. The only problem is that Memphis may not be the team to do it.
Yeah, that's my point.
The Blazers can certainly blow it.
But they're not blowing it against Memphis.
Has nobody.
Memphis sucks.
Memphis is almost as bad as Portland is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not. Now,
their injury report is worse than Portland's is, amazingly.
No, I'll tell you what. Whatever the spread is, I'll tell you, I'm taking the Portland win tonight.
14.5.
I'm taking the Grizzlies next game because they played 2 in a row.
Okay.
Yeah, they won't win both of these. Portland. This will be a battle of who can shut down more players. No.
Plus 3,000. Get it while it's get it while it's hot. Blazers are minus 20,000 right now. What a bad bet. Why would you do that?
Somebody made 41 to 1 odds a couple nights ago on that Lakers comeback when they came back from 21 down in the fourth. Someone bet that live.
Hey, dude.
41 to 1.
I wonder how much money you would have if you set some sort of alarm that any time an NBA team fell down 20 points in the second half, let's say second half,
and you just took them on the money line,
and you just took them on the money line. I wonder if that's a winning proposition.
I don't know.
Probably not, but
yeah, but I mean,
because again,
you get good odds though.
Right, you'd only have to win a couple of them.
You might only have to win 1 out of 20.
Exactly. But it seems to happen an awful lot.
It does. You certainly, especially if you wouldn't get as good odds, but if you took the spread, I think that's a winning proposition. Because very rarely do teams get blown out. I mean, how many times you see a team up by 20 and then they win by 6?
Yeah, that's true. The back door.
Yeah,
betting on the backdoor cover.
The backdoor cover. You know, I just don't feel like there's a lot of blowouts in the NBA anymore. Like, 'cause teams get they get complacent, and now people just start shooting threes, and you go to the bench, and no one cares. You know they're not going to win.
On that note, the Pelicans lead the Pacers 108-72. And the Blazers are up 21. And the Celtics are up 28 on the Mavericks.
Wow.
So much for your blowout theory.
I guess. And Dallas is playing everyone, right? Luka's playing.
Yeah. Yeah, Boston just kicked the crap out of them.
Yeah,
Boston's tough.
So much for that.
I feel like Boston's good. That's my hot take for
that is a hot ROP NBA take. Boston and they're like 47 wins is indeed good.
By the way, the boss emailed me, said we've been the fan since 1990. And I said, "Where's your whimsy?"
Oh, like what?
So what?
What were we before that, or did we just not exist?
We were new.
Yeah, I think we've always been the fan.
We're one of the
first.
We were
West
one of the
Coast, right?
first West Coast all sports stations.
So like us in San Diego or something.
I think we've been the fan the whole time.
Yeah. Well, I think it's time for a rebrand. Let's go with the Jock. I think we're onto something.
The Jock.
The Jock. You want to ride this Jock?
Yeah,
Let's go.
I have an itch.
You have an itch, and only the Jock can scratch it. You think about that. Promo writes itself. You've got a sports itch. The Jock is here to scratch it.
Let the Jock scratch your itch. Hop on this Jock.
I mean, come on. We're rebranding Bella now. How long has the Buzz been the Buzz? Come on. I don't like the bosses chiming in with "We've always been the fan." The worst excuse for doing something is it's always been that.
You know, our
There's
boss.
Too many fans.
He's just an old school guy. He's from the old school.
Did he not hear the 18 other stations that are the fan? How are we supposed to stand out?
That's right. Let's get some balls. Let's bring this into the new millennium.
Let's bring some balls to the Jock, right?
That's right.
Let's go.
That's right. The scrote. 1080 the scrote.
Does anyone still wear Jocks? Are those still a thing?
I don't know.
I have no idea if anyone actually wears a Jock anymore. 'Cause we still wore them like when I was handed out gear at BYU, they did give you a Jock. It's like, here. And it was that same old school. I think it's Bike. Bike has owned the Jock market for, like, they have a monopoly on the Jock.
And the cups that go in them themselves
Yes.
if you wear a cup. Yeah.
I don't
Bike
know if
makes
anyone
those
else
too.
makes a Jock. It's a monopoly. It's a monopoly on our Johnson. It's what they're doing.
Yeah, I think now. Well, I know in baseball they just make those.
They make sliding
compression
shorts with it, yeah.
and then you put the ball saver in it.
Yeah, yeah. And I had never worn a Jock till I got to college, and then they moved me to center, and I needed something that was more lifting.
Yeah, you got to stay up tight.
Yeah, stay up tight. Yeah, I
can't
had never worn one in my life. I had just worn compression shorts. But I'll tell you, the first day of snapping a football and you're not wearing a Jock, you better believe you'll go back in there and be like, let's go. And you order the small one too. You're like, yeah, let's make that thing tight. Let's go. We need to lift and separate. Let's hug. First time you short a snap, you're like, yeah, game changes forever.
All right. We done yet?
I think we got one more minute here for the jock.
Yeah, we have about 1 more minute for the
I'm
jock.
protesting.
You're protesting because of all the breaks?
We've done way more radio than we're supposed to today because they haven't sold any breaks.
I do feel like we've given people the extra 6
You've got
minutes.
an extra us on the jock today.
Yeah, like
what if we just start calling it the jock? Do you think that? How long before that's shut down?
I think
Just an organic takeover?
I'll tell you right now. You know how long that takes? Probably Tuesday.
Tuesday. How about Monday?
We did it today, and the boss has clearly heard it and is not a fan. We do it Monday. We come back and we do it Monday. I'm guessing that either midway through Monday's show or at the very, very latest, Monday night, when we leave, there is an email saying cease and desist with 1080 The Jock. And by Tuesday, it's over.
What if I go to them and I say, I've sold the studio rights to Tough Act and Tanak